Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome to Echo, before I managed to mute kick. Here we are once again with another week and another bit of bestiality. I know many of you waited for this topic to come up. I'm sure. Listen, I'm sure some of you are interested, okay? Don't lie to me, I know. V will be showing up in but a second too, in all due likelihood. He is V, he is Romanian, he is of course late, because he is all white, as is all Romanians, I believe. I think it's just a more or less generalized curse, frankly, at this point. As we begin to reset... Oh, maybe. There we go, maybe. Possibly. There we are. There we are. Why just why? Alright. Streamlabs is behaving itself. Possibly. Okay, there we go. For a moment there, Streamlabs was telling me that we weren't actually getting any video and weren't sending any data, but I believe we are. At least it's telling me that it does now, so we shall simply hope and pray that there is somebody out there listening. It might happen after all. Suffer not the furry to live. Very soon you will be furried, whether you like so or not. You will have to spread your cheeks for a bear. And a wolf, I think, too, in Baldur's Gate 3. Marksman of 117B says, hello, Bonkle, Arch, enjoy your day. Thank you very much. I will. I mean, with topics like tender consensual sex with a bear, I don't see how anyone could not enjoy their day, frankly. Marksman 170B also says, Snake has decreed it so. Arch is now Bunkle, the crazy uncle, warrior of hammers of 40 kilometers. Long may his shadow cast and devour the frauds. Adamus Fowl asks, you finally kicked V? V is Romanian, which means he is busy stealing copper wire, as the chat already accurately pointed out. But he'll probably be here in a second. And Lord of Opossum says, hi Arch, can orcs be mutated by chaos? Yes, they can. In fact, there exists a rule set for Nurgle orcs, which was released in a White Dwarf ages and ages ago. Like, it's got to be at least like a decade plus at this point. Gotta find out. Yes, there we go. Right, I knew there was a picture of that somewhere. There you go. Yes, Nurgle orcs. Orcs absolutely can be infested by chaos. I do believe this might be the single sole example of it actually happening, but yes, it is a thing that can happen.
Citizenship.
Adherent of Lady Columbia says, in your view, Arch, when does a thing that people want to bring attention to, like an event or issue, become a gift, like the manosphere? A grift, I'm presuming. Well, the thing is... Oh, there's V. See, I told you V was alive.
Heresy's the question. Fire is the answer.
He blinks. Oh, God. Can I not hear V? I can't hear V. Oh, heavens. Okay. No can anybody else for that matter. Let me see. Say something?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
There we go. Yes. You've got that weird delay thing again where your icon flashes and then I hear you. Try reconnecting.
Okay.
Heresy's the question. Fire is the answer.
Looks better.
Alright.
Fantastic.
The grift.
Okay, because that's the interesting question. When does a thing that somebody wants to bring attention to become a grift? I think it depends on the individual, honestly. Like, if... How do I put this? If you cover things that you have no real interest or knowledge about purely to cover them, I would say that falls into the category of grift, the very broad category of grift.
Yes.
Whereas if you are merely covering stuff that you care about or a thing you care about, I don't think that can become a grift necessarily. Unless I guess you cover it to the point of retardation where you say the same thing over and over again and you're merely just repeating yourself ad infinitum.
I think like our job, which is to make YouTube videos every day, is kind of like what Vice Magazine or BuzzFeed does. And at some point, some topics may be considered grifting. But there is a difference between YouTubers who are doing it out of a passion and YouTubers who are grifting. And you can definitely tell by their enthusiasm, by the level of commitment they have. A big example is if they go against their audience just because, they believe in something and their audience doesn't. That is a person who isn't grifting.
Yes. It's also, again, the focus point. Like, I primarily only cover stuff that has to do with directly entertainment or gaming, and it will require something pretty serious to get me out of that, something fairly major, like the recent Supreme Court shit, for example, which was pretty goddamn major.
The war in Ukraine.
Yep, that is true. Like, that was a big goddamn event.
Yes.
Like, that is... It's a forever war now, so who cares? Oh, I'll put it this way too. People who are still covering the war in Ukraine with like day-to-day updates, I might consider that a grift, because nothing is happening. It is a forever war, and it will go on for another 5 years, unless Russia defeats itself, which it looks like it's currently working very hard on doing.
I kind of disagree, because like I would think a grift is when you cover something that you don't believe in. But like someone who wants to make a channel to just cover the situation in Ukraine because there's a market for that, and they're just covering it, objectively without playing sides or anything. Like that's more like reporting than a grift, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, like if you have someone though that's like, let's say he's on the side of socialism, and at one point he stops being a socialist, but he still covers it because that's what gives him money. I would say that's a grift.
That's fair enough. But yes, that is my very loose and off-the-cuff response to what is and is not a grift. Maleficus Strikhan says, why is there bestiality in Dungeons & Dragons? Druids. Never mind. Correct. That is the reason why there is a bear fucking the vampire person. Because... And this is not a bug. This was shown off by the developers, so they're actually proud of this for reasons unbeknownst to me.
You know what's funny? The same journalists who are against fan service were literally cheering.
Yes.
And they were so excited about that scene. Which, they would say, well, it's a joke, it's an optional scene. Yeah, but so is fan service, isn't it? And like, for example, Cammy's new DLC costume, which is her original leotard, journalists were foaming at the mouth over that. They were absolutely livid. But hey, a bear fucking a vampire dude? Oh my god, that is so progressive. Oh, that's what... Yeah, that's what video games need to display.
This is what we need.
What are we going to talk about? Do you want to talk about it now, or do you want to read more super chats? Because like, there's so much we can unpack with that scene.
Well, so you are entirely correct when you say this too. This is the retarded thing. Let me actually just go ahead here. I'll copy the tweet you sent me about it. This is why I cannot be shamed by the people on Twitter, says V. I saw what makes you cheer and it disgusts me. Yes, so for people who don't know why this is a thing, because bear fucking person is funny, right? But this is so much larger a topic than that. This was shown to a whole audience. The developers were like, okay, we're going to show you our romance scenes. And you've got the vampire dude, and he leans back in the grass, and like, he lifts up his legs wide as like, come here, daddy bear. And the bear just comes on like, and then presumably butt fucks the man to death, I would imagine, because as it turns out, their penis is very large.
Did you research?
Yes.
Okay, I believe you.
Apparently, the largest bear penis is over 1% of the bear's total body weight. That means that the bear penis alone probably weighs in at 3 to 4 kilograms.
I do not believe that to be accurate. Fuck it. No. I normally know not to question you on matters of sexuality, but this time, no. I do not believe that.
Oh, it is absolutely true. It is absolutely correct as it turns out.
I will look it up. Holy shit. Okay, so what did you say? A bear's penis weight?
The baculum.
The baculum?
Yeah, the baculum of a Ailuropida melanolulukia, or whatever the fuck, is about... Oh, no, which one? No, the Melursus ursinus, according to this scientific study. Its penis is about 1.3% of its total body weight, and it weighs in at like 2 to 300.
So this is classified as 9 of the weirdest penis in the animal kingdom. It can weigh up to 150 pounds, and it can ejaculate gallons of sperm in a single go.
I don't think that's a bear, though. That's got to be.
Oh, it's a whale. My bad.
Yeah,
no,
I was about to say.
Like
if the bear is capable of coming its own body weight, I would be impressed. All right, come on, DuckDuckGo, bear penis size.
But anyway, right. So, you were saying about the scene.
Yes. So this was by the developers showing this scene. Like, again, this is something they were very proud of, and it's the druid that transforms into a bear, which presumably also means that if the druid can transform into a dog or a walrus or whatever the hell else, you will have a following sex scene with a dog or a walrus or a cow or whatever the hell the druid can turn into.
But is it a problem if it's intelligent?
Well, that is why they very specifically pointed out here, Baldur's Gate 3 boasts tender, consensual bear sex. So presumably, yes, the bear can consent. It is intelligent. Does that make it bestiality or not? I guess that's a question for Chad. Does the bear being intelligent change the definition?
But by this situation, if you have sex with an elf, like a hot elvish waifu, like she's technically of a different race, so that would be bestiality as well.
I suppose. And the worst part of it, as funny as this is, it's not just because it's funny that we're talking about it. It is because the same progressive intelligentsia who are all over these arse for going like, I would like women with big tits, are now like, yeah, bear sex. That's so great. That's so progressive.
Yeah. A lot of people miss the point, right? I don't mind the fact that there is a bear sex scene within Baldur's Gate 3. Like, that's not the issue. The issue is that if this was like a hot dark elf, like imagine the Ushikushi dark elf waifu having sex with the husbando, those same journalists would have been disgusted. They would have looked at it the same way normal people look at the bear scene. And they would be like, oh, we have regressed so much in the industry. I thought we were making progress. But these elvish titties in front of me, they burn my retina.
Yep. And to be fair as well, this is intended as a bit of a joke. But it wasn't. It wasn't taken as a joke by the intelligentsia at all.
Yeah, that's what shocked me, right? Like they weren't just laughing; they were making the same sounds that women make when they see a male stripper.
Yes, they were clapping. Like, this was very progressive, and I have lost count of the number of articles I've seen about it. I just thought this one was the best one because they needed to point out that it was consensual. Like, the bear wasn't raping him; he wanted it.
Yes.
And it did indeed get their live stream banned from TikTok, which, as someone on the wrong side of the current year political spectrum, I am amazed they ever thought for even a second that this would be allowed.
I didn't even show it on my channel. Like, people asked me to show it on my live stream. I'm not. But like, here's the interesting part, Arch. There will be Let's Plays of this game.
Yes. You better be damn careful what options you select.
It's a dangerous game to play. With your channel, not with...
We are in Clown World, and it seems the more the left begins to lose, as it most assuredly is, the weirder and dumber it gets, which we will see in our next big topic. But first,
Well, I wanna
Go on.
point out something else about this. You know, like a lot of people ask, like, why are you upset and blah blah blah. And it's not just the journalists. Here's the question for chat. I look at the picture that Arch is showing, and you got like this, you know, very macho man vampire with the shirt off, and
Yes.
he's having like this gay progressive romance with this bundle of bear. The question has to be, can these people actually make a wholesome romance story? Like, do you
No.
believe that these developers are capable of making the romance story with Viconia de Veer that you played in Baldur's Gate 2, or the one with Morrigan from Dragon Age, or the one with Talizora Vas Normandy?
No.
I do not think that they can. You know, now I know I shouldn't stereotype, but like I have the power of stereotyping very accurately. And I, for 1 second, do not think that these people can create a wholesome romance story, a vanilla romance story, given what they have shown.
They can't. And I can demonstrate that also by the characters in the game. So, okay, you mentioned our little vampire dude here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let me just find out. All right. So in the link channel, I'll put the picture of the vampire dude. So the vampire dude is female. He is designed to attract the female gaze, shall we say? Like,
And the homosexual.
that too, yes. Perfect chiseled jaws. You know, he's got the little elf ears. He's got the perfect Fabio hairstyle. He's chiseled, of course. He's very fit. He's massive, wearing leather, of course. Very fashionably
Bigger
dressed.
than the women, yeah.
Yep. He is clearly designed to draw a certain type of attention, yes? And then you have the female character, who is a lizard. With the Michael Jackson
I will
nose.
say, okay, I have just created a new law of the internet. Let's call it the ArchCast law. The more beautiful and stunning the men in a Western game, the more ugly and defiled the women will be like.
Yes. And hey, like, this character isn't even that bad. At least her facial shape is okay, you know? It's just they need to make her into
It's
a
the nose,
lizard.
yeah.
The nose is weird. She's, of course, heavily scarred. Her hair is nothing special. It's normal slick back. It's got some decorations in it, but it's not the gravity-defying beauty of aesthetics of the male character.
No.
And the human, like, quote-unquote, female, the half-elf, just a normal chick. You know, a bit of slightly pudgy face, a weak chin, a normal nose, the tiny bit of elf hair. She's got some decorations in her hair. At least she's got a little bit of a do-up, you know. She's got tiny bit of trace of makeup, eyeshadow. She's even got like a weird complexion kind of skin thing, bushy brows. At best, she's like 6 or 7, you know?
But Arch, am I not right if you think about it? Like the more shirtless the men, the more muscular, the more Greek godlike they can make the women the opposite.
Yes.
In the video games in the way. Like literally every single time.
Yes, both me and Dev have done videos on this, analyzing this particular topic now, and the solution is very simple. They are the dominant cultural group, and so their fetishes, good. Their sexuality, good.
Heresy
Your
is the question.
fetishes, your
Fire is the
sexuality,
answer.
bad, evil, disruptive. It's like
They get angry. Like they get fuming when you say it's like, okay, I want beautiful women in a video game.
Yes.
Oh, fuck off, incel. Fuck off, Coomer. Like literally just you know, you're not even attacking them, but they flat out just attack you for it.
it is anathema to them. They react to that in the same way that we do to well, to Bear, or even worse. At least we look at Bear and go like, okay, that's funny but retarded. They react like we do to children at Pride. That's the parallel I would draw.
It's kind of no, you know what? If you grew up around evangelicals, like hardcore Christian, but not like just normal evangelicals, like fanatically so, that's how they would react if they would see a gay scene or someone that enjoys any sort of gay sexuality.
Yes,
Like they
you
react
show
to
some
that, but
hardcore
to
gay
straight
pornography
sexuality.
to an old school Christian couple, and that's the similar reaction you're gonna get.
Yeah.
And again, that is the case. They are the dominant culture, and so they get to justify what is and isn't correct. And everyone knows that this is the rule set now. Like it is the rule. You are supposed to find the ugly females to be empowering.
Service
They're
guarantees
representative.
citizenship.
Here's another one of the male characters as well. And again, notice the blatant difference. So this guy, again, with the fancy hair, the flowing lock, the strong chin, like, he is an attractive, well above average male.
I can't see it yet, but it's a little bit of a delay.
Yep, it's loading. It's a double standard. Unsurprisingly, seeing as V puts it is good that they have a double standard, for otherwise the progressives should have none.
Yeah, I mean, that is a 10 out of 10 husbando.
Mm-hmm. And so when they look at a bear having sex with a character, of course they clap, because anyone else would do.
If it's a woman and you demand her to be like more beautiful, they will say, "Oh, but it's the end of the world. Like, how does she have time to put on makeup? How the fuck does this man have time to comb his hair?" And I think you need gel and shit in order to make your hair stand like that.
Yep. It is dumb.
And by the way, like, I got nothing with the men. Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't mind if a homosexual inclined individual likes the characters in this game. I wouldn't mind if, like, there would be more homosexuals making a Steam group or something, and they would demand that the developers make more characters to appeal to them. It's fine. What I do not understand is why is that some people, especially who are into that, come to me and get upset that I like wishy-cushy ladies. Like, fuck's your problem? Leave me alone. Why can't you be tolerant? Like, I tolerate your shit. Why can't you tolerate mine?
Well, in an ideal world, every character would be hot. Like, straight up, okay, you want to have gay roots? Go ahead. Like, I care. I'm not going to pursue them. But I'd like to have the attractive females, too, please.
Yeah, lovely. Then, like, I understand, like, some characters can be ugly. That's fine. But, like, when every single fucking character is ugly, it just raises a question.
Lord of the Possum says, "Cool, thank you." You're very welcome. Manga2 asks, "Greeting, lads. Did you get the Jade Necklace Arch?" Not yet, but remember, it's the Norwegian Postal Service. I expect it'll be here sometime before Christmas. Maybe. Possibly. CN Belem says, "What about Perun? He's still doing Ukraine stuff." Perun. I think I'm basically on V's side here. If you're doing this because you're interested in this, then there's no reason not to. For my side, I just look at it and go like, yeah, this is a forever war. It's going to keep going. It's the same as the war in Syria, etc. It'll just roll on forever at this point.
Service guarantees
that kind of
citizenship.
drops my attention. Plus, it's a lot of well, again, yeah, no, I think I'm on V's side on it. Like, if you're covering it because you're generally interested in it and people are generally interested in the day-to-day, then you are providing a service that people want, so fine. ARC5 says, "At this point, I pray for the Minotaur's chapter to arrive in orbit. It's only what we deserve for bringing this evil into the world." At least we're finally on the reverse swing, lads. Only another decade or so, and we might return to normality.
And then it would be funny if the Japanese go woke. And you have woke anime, but, like, really good Western stuff.
Yep. Everything the West produces is, like, Arcane level shit. Everything Japan produces is garbage.
Arcane is actually a woke show. That's good.
Yes. Like, you can clearly tell the scenes here and there where Arcane becomes woke, but it is relatively subtle in comparison to the quality of the show. Like, it doesn't become overpowering.
Yes.
Plus, the animation quality is just exceptional.
The thing is, the characters are ugly as fuck. I mean, Caitlyn is supposed to be a 10 out of 10 waifu, but when she showers, she literally looks like a dude. But the environments are 10 out of 10.
Yep.
So the lighting they use, the environment, I think that saves the aesthetics. Because the characters are just jaw-droppingly ugly. I mean, it's interesting that especially when you have ugly characters, like back in the day, there were movies with ugly characters, but they wouldn't focus on their sexuality. It's like showing old people fuck, you know? Like, yeah, I'm sure that old people do that, but no one wants to pay money for a ticket to watch it.
Mm-hmm. But no, like Arcane is salvaged mostly by its literally stunning visuals. Like the story is nothing particularly special, but the design and the execution and the world is just fantastic. Whether or not it'll survive a second season when people start getting used to it, we'll see. I noticed that at the end of season 1, I too was getting a little bit like, that fast forward bar is looking awfully tempting right about now.
Yeah, I mean, if they go with the lore that League of Legends set up, not many people read Riot lore, but it's really good.
Yes.
The relationship between the lesbian romance was very forced, in my opinion. Like they don't know how to make human connections anymore, and by they I mean Netflix and Hollywood and stuff. It's just I don't know. Like did it feel forced to you? The relationship between the inventor and that black chick, I forgot her name because she's not in the game. Jace and whomever. That was actually making more sense because they were working together and they fell in love because of the proximity and shit and mutual shared interests. Like that actually made sense.
Service guarantee.
Yes.
But all the other relationships in that TV show were just forced.
And also the simple fact that the one attractive character in the show was the diverse character. Mel was apparently her name, and to be fair, like they went out of their way to make her stunning looking, and the effect might have also been increased by the fact like, wow, this is the first attractive character I've seen in media in 10 years.
It's interesting that her mother was like incredibly muscular to the point of exaggeration and a caricature, and she had like this little simp following her, and you know, like she was sexually dominating this simp, and I'm thinking like, have you ever in your life seen a relationship like that? Where the woman is like twice the size as the man, both in height and in girth, and she is just like sexually dominating this little wimp that's all the way up to her knee. Like, has anyone ever, even like not even seen, but like heard of humans interacting like that, or like that type of relationship existing, besides in fantasy?
Well, the amusing thing is, the archetype they're using there is the dominating warlord kind of guy, right? And if it was a man, everyone would look at him and go, that's disgusting, how dare he be so abusive of that poor little girl. But at the moment it's a woman, everyone looks at this and go like, wow, she's so empowered. Like, well.
I mean, I don't know if I would look at it like that, but yeah, you know, there is a thing, you know, like genders do exist, and it's not that society created the gender. It's more like people noticed how women behave and how men behave, and drew the conclusions from that, right? So like for example, the stereotype of a thug, right? Like someone that curses all the time, like, oi, what you looking at? What you looking at? You know, like that type of individual. It's very unlikely that the woman would behave like that. And it's the same thing with like Conan the Barbarian archetype, where he's like this muscular beast and he's got like this pretty waifu that's hanging around and he's dominating. The Khal Drogo, right? Like the Khal Drogo archetype. Yeah, women don't behave like that. You know, like a woman isn't going to be a warlord and then get like the skimpy young boy in her tent and dominate him until he marries her. Like if you write the story like that, it's immersion breaking.
Let's see. Just Human says, did you see the story about Bjørnar Moxnes? Bjørnar Moxnes. Did I? I don't think so. Let me check it out real quick. Google. Oh, yes, the communist. Yes. No, I have seen that. I have absolutely seen that. So, Dev, what would you... Dev, hello, V. I can't know more than one human being or I start messing up their names. Because I was talking to Dev about this, and so now V has become Dev. So what would you say is the defining feature of communism?
Oh my god. Well, it depends, because there's like so many versions of it. Equality, well, I guess like hypocrisy would be the...
Hypocrisy is a good one, but like, one of the fundaments of communism is, of course, that it's built on taking what isn't its.
Yeah, like okay, so the idea is that
Heresy's
X
the
is
question.
oppressing Y.
Fire is the answer.
Y needs to fight against the oppression of the X and take X's shit and redistribute it among Y.
Yes. So Norway has a communist party. It's called Red, or Rødt, and its leader stole a pair of designer sunglasses from a shopping mall at an airport. Like, he grabbed them, he put them on, he put them in his pocket, and then he just walked out.
Why?
Because he's a communist. It's in his being.
No, I get that, but like, why risk your entire political career? Like, is this like making him like a revolutionary hero or some shit?
Oh no, it's getting him dragged through the coals because Norway has a very gentle form of politics. Like, you are not allowed to be mean to your opponent. You are expected to be a model citizen. So this guy is getting absolutely butt-fucked. And then, of course, he does what all politicians do when they're currently getting dragged.
Play the victim.
Yes, and then he becomes sick. He becomes ill. Oh, the stress. Oh, all the stress. Oh my. I'm getting repercussions for my terrible actions. Oh no.
Jesus. Sorry.
It's terrible.
You're killing me.
It's also the fact that he lied about it several times as well. So first he said, like, oh, he just forgot. And then the police was like, no. We've got video camera footage of you just putting them in your pocket, like patting them and leaving. And it's like, oh, okay, I did do that. But I paid the fine and it was just like a basic fine. And the police again goes like, no. It's a fine, but we're also considering whether or not we're going to put you in jail. Like, we consider this a crime. And he changed his story like 3 times before finally becoming ill, and that's the last chapter so far as I know. So the police are just waiting for him to recover from his mental trauma, I'm presuming.
Well, I'm glad to see that social justice tactics do not fully work in Norway then.
He's too late onto the bandwagon. I'm sure he could have played the victim card, I would have said like 5 or 6 years ago, but now this is just cringe.
Fire is the answer.
Do you think he's got like an actual issue where he can't keep his hands to himself? Kleptomania, it's called? Or is it that he just thought that it would be a good political point, but it ended up biting him in the ass?
I think he's just a communist. Like, I unironically think that he's the kind of person who just deep down believes that the capitalist system is like wrong and shit, and that he could totally just take stuff. And he did. He considers himself to be above it.
I see.
Mark99 says, Art, first off, hi. Second, why would remind of some dude adding his sexual fantasy to a AAA video game? Why would remind of some dude? I'm not entirely sure what you're asking about.
I also feel bad when I get a super chat and I don't understand it.
Yes, me too. Why would remind of some
Why would
dude?
you remind me? Why would I be reminded?
Yes, why would you remind me of some dude? Yeah, that makes sense. Because funny.
See, that's how I do it. That's what goes in my brain. I was just like, mix and match.
Because funny, that's why. And, maybe this guy meets a bear too, and maybe justice will be served. We'll see. Spiky 1996 says, hasn't Japan done the reverse with beauty standards in NTR? The uglier the man is, the more beautiful the woman is. Yes, but that's because NTR is art, you see, Yes.
Naruhodo.
That's how it is. Teravox11 says, the 90s conservatives are calling. Something about slippery slopes fallacies that keep becoming actually slippery slopes. Yes.
I never understood why the slippery slope is a fallacy, though. Because, like, noticing how things are going and predicting accurately where they end is normal. Like, this is what human beings do, right? It's kind of like, if you keep spending money, but you're not earning anything, you're going to run out of money. And they're like, oh, no, it's a slippery slope. No.
Well, it's a form of, like, post hoc ergo propter hoc, isn't it? Where it just like, okay, this thing happened. So this thing must happen too. Like, because you can't know that for a case, for a fact.
No, but okay, but as I said, like if you keep spending money, right, and you're not earning anything, then I can conclude that you're going to run out. Now, sure, like someone at some point may give you another donation, or you may find some money on the street, and But my prediction is logical.
Yes.
Like, yeah, like I may be wrong, but like percentage wise, it's highly probable that I'm correct.
Yes. But it is technically a logical fallacy, because you are assuming something will happen before it has happened, or that it happened because of what has already happened.
Sure,
The issue is when you have when you have overwhelming evidence for it. Like when we say,
like if so if we say during COVID, right? You say something like you should stay at home, stay safe, because if you go out, you may catch the thing. I mean, that would be a slippery slope fallacy.
Mm-hmm.
Or let's give another example. If you have unprotected sex, you may end up with a girl being pregnant. Is that a slippery slope fallacy?
I mean, theoretically, I guess, because you might not get her pregnant. In fact, the odds are against you.
Heresy's the
Really?
question. Fire is the answer.
No, I can see that, but I wouldn't necessarily call it a logical fallacy, because you don't say that for certain it will happen. You're basically saying it may happen, and that is logically correct.
Uh-huh.
So
the slippery slope indicates a certain degree of inevitability.
But okay, if they're logical fallacies, why did almost all the slippery slopes came true?
Because those weren't true slopes.
Ah.
They were just like hills, They were just hovels. There was no slipping involved here, there was just falling. Slava Boga asks, V, are you Transylvanian or Wallachian?
I'm Moldavian.
Moldavian.
Yes.
Lurker says, funny enough, furries earlier that day had debated on Twitter about this specific topic. I am sure the what if I became a druid and fucked somebody topic frequents quite often on furry term boards, to be fair.
Actually not. Surprisingly, a lot of furries were disgusted by that scene.
Ah.
You see, there is a misconception. Furries like anthropomorphic animals. Not all furries are into bestiality. In fact, as a previous member of the furry fandom, most furries are disgusted by bestiality. However, due to recent scandals where some furries were actually discovered being dog-pilled, let's put it like that, it has caused a negative stigma towards the fandom as a whole.
Aha, so we need to differentiate between furries and bestiality aficionados.
Yeah, well, obviously, if there's two words for it, then there means that there is a difference. And by the way, as an ex-furry, I normally wouldn't defend the furry fandom. Demo, Shukushi. Like when you see so much misinfo running around, you gotta step in. Now, if the man would have been an anthropomorphic bear or a werewolf, then the furries would have liked it.
Well, I suppose he's sort of anthropomorphic in that he was a man first, and then transformed into a bear?
I mean, technically, but, you can't rationalize the penis in that matter, Arch. Like, the penis is attracted and what's attracted. You can't just, well, I guess, because, like, technically he was a man and... No.
A rationalistic penis.
It's kind of like, a cat girl is not a furry. It's kind of like that. This is the opposite, I guess.
We need an appropriate scale.
Like yes, like this is way too much into animal territory in order to be considered non-bestiality and into the furry aficionado group.
Zimzilla99 says, every day that Legion quote becomes more and more applicable. Degens on cross, yada yada.
Heresy's
May
the
you
question.
live in interesting
Fire
times.
is the answer.
Brother Strato says, revenge for Strato. Don't know about that.
People in the chat are asking, was that a trans bear?
Well, yes. I would imagine so, because, he
Service
transmogrifies
guaranteed
into
citizenship.
something else. Or do you have to change
That is
gender
correct.
to be trans?
Yeah, that is interesting. Like, if you can transmogrify into an animal, can you pick the sex of the animal?
Well, in this case,
Heresy's
he
the
chose
question.
his sex,
Fire
so
is
he's
the
a
answer.
cis transgender bear?
But what if, like, you get pregnant while a bear, and then you shapeshift back into human form?
Well, depends on what you get impregnated by, I guess.
Another bear.
Well, I guess you'll have cubs then.
Hmm. Do you think like the cubs die with the transformation because like the shape of the uterus molds is it's actually difficult.
I imagine you
sounds
would
like a
have to
simple
carry them
question.
to term.
You would have to carry them to term, otherwise, yeah, okay. So like one wrong shapeshift, and
Yes, in all due likelihood.
I see.
Politics
I don't think
says, hey, calling out hypocrisy alone achieves nothing. I disagree.
Yeah.
I mean, all we've been doing for the last few years is calling out hypocrisy, and it brings more and more people to our side, because we can point to the people fucking the bear and go, isn't this pretty stupid?
It's
Heresy's
kind of
the
like
question.
you're stripping
Fire
away
is
the
the
authority
answer.
from them, right? Like,
Yes.
imagine you have a village priest. Normally, as a person who lived in a rural community, he is considered a pillar of that community. Like, he is reverend, and his words carry wisdom. But if the village priest starts whoring himself around, and he's an alcoholic drunk as well, people stop respecting him. Like, even if people are still religious, they stop respecting him because he's a hypocrite. So pointing out hypocrisy is robbing away authority. This is why they hate memes. This is why they ban humor. Because otherwise they wouldn't care. If it didn't matter, they wouldn't care.
Yes, and again, this is why humor is forever the weapon of the oppressed, the underdog.
I have lost.
You cannot have pro-authoritarian humor.
Yes. And it's also interesting that the more oppressive a society gets, the better the jokes.
Which is why we should have some really great stand-up comedy right now if there weren't for all of the people being ousted from social media.
You do get it, but it's, again, yeah, it's not on social media. If you go on a Discord server and you hear people talking about it, then yeah, it's pretty hilarious.
CNLBLMC? God dang it. Why must you have such weird names? CNL BenMC says, Owen, just call me Ben. It's my ancient username. Ben. Silek S says, I'm playing as the Dark Urge. If the bear looks just a little bit funny at me, I'm flaying that bear. Ah, yes, the Dark Urge. That was the new character who has murder hobo habits. Dracus Luthor says, Progs are misogynistic. YouTube won't let me say more. Progs are. Realty Backhand says, to answer V's question of, have you ever seen a woman twice the man size dominate him? Yes, of course. I know him. He's me. Oh, here you go, V. Twinks do exist.
They do.
Dracus
They
Luthor
shouldn't
says
be
also, giantess Amazons are a thing and a fetish. That is true.
No, I get it. I understand, right? But like, if your ideology is like, oh well, we can't have this because it's unrealistic, right? We can't have this size breasts because like women are unrealistically standards of blah 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 blah. And then you show me the Amazoness. I'm like, excuse me, like, didn't your ideology just, huh? And not to mention, she was ugly. Like the character design, what, like, you replace her face with a man, and all of a sudden you get the body type B.
Body type B. That's true.
Yes.
It's not that she's a different gender, it's body type B.
You know how you can figure out which one is woman and which one isn't by body type A, body type B standard?
Yes, it's the one that feels the need to cover their chest for some reason.
Yes, oh my fucking god. Yeah, it's true. I just don't understand it. It's like body type A, body type B. They're literally the same, but one has their chest covered. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's mysterious.
And it's interesting because they could make both of them cover their chest.
I suppose. But then the
There's
women
another
wouldn't be
thing.
able to salivate at their pecs.
See, I'm literally curious about this. If I was to show my naked chest on YouTube, it wouldn't be a community guideline strike, right? Because it's fine. Like if
Probably.
I have a shirtless stream, right? But like if during the shirtless stream I identify as a woman, would that be a community guideline strike?
I don't think you look feminine enough for the bots to pick that up, frankly.
But it doesn't matter. It's right. I mean, if Sticks Hammer makes another shirtless stream,
Well, you could always try reporting him for sexual harassment and see what happens, I guess.
here's another question.
I think
what if
the
you're having...
bots would actually pick up on that for once.
Here's another question, right? What if you're having sex with a beautiful waifu, and while you're inside the waifu, she identifies as a man? Did you become gay?
Yes.
But what if she identifies as a woman again?
Well, then you are still gay, because once inside of a man, you will always be gay. There's no ungaying yourself.
You know what? I like streaming with you because it answers the mysteries of life. Like I have asked progressives and they refuse to acknowledge or even engage with this point. But I like that you're a wise man and you have just cleared things up. Like thank you. I am now wiser than I was before.
Yes. Like, I mean, this isn't difficult. Once you've been inside of a man, you are gay. Like, done deal. Dracus Luthor says NTR is gutter trash. That's not true. Every good story starts with NTR, okay? Star Wars is NTR, because at one point Luke is like, I really want to have sex with my sister, but then Han Solo NTRs him. See? And that was for the better, too.
Why is it called NTR and not cocking, Arch?
Because the Japanese, in their infinite wisdom, invented two different genres of it, nettori and nettorare. So it needs to be differentialized. It's not just cucking. They're more advanced than that.
Ah, I see.
Gabriel Natia says, I don't think you guys are understanding what a slippery slope is. The argument usually is that if a certain threshold is crossed, and this is accepted as the new normal, then things escalate again. I suppose, but no, the slippery slope is more along the... you could give that as the charitable argument, but at its base, it is simply saying, because of this, thus this will happen. It is an argument from previous history. Which doesn't mean that it will repeat.
I think it's more like when things are completely disconnected from each other, right? So I don't think like a normal chain of reasoning is going to be considered a logical fallacy. But I think if you say like, if you don't save money, then it's going to rain outside tomorrow.
Well, so the precise definition is basically to say that if one small thing happens, then the most ridiculous thing will happen. Like that's the definition of the fallacy, kind of. But the issue is, again, let's bring up a Devian example. So Dev is like, let's allow gay marriage. And that will totally not lead to gay men moving on massive floats through the streets, waving pride flags whilst having simulated sex in front of children. Because that sounded like the absurd. And 20 years ago, we'd probably all laugh at that and go,
Fire is the answer.
There's no way that'll happen. And today...
I think that you can rationalize it, because if you create the grift, as you say, and the grift may be like people who legitimately want gay rights, okay? Like you have NGOs that start off and they legitimately want to have gay marriage. So they start getting donations, they start getting money, they get staff, and over time they get the marriage. But now, like they like doing that. Like they like the activism, they like getting cash. But the marriage is already there, so now you have to do something else. You gotta push for something else, because otherwise there's no need for you, right? Like you already achieved the activism. So they're going to just keep pushing the boundaries. They're just going to see, all right, well, what is the next socially unacceptable thing that we can push in order to keep on the grift going?
Yes, and that is the problem when you politicize the ideology, and in this case, the identity more correctly. Because, yes, we should go like, okay, you want gay marriage? I mean, fine, so long as you can find a priest to do it, and if you want to do it in church, or you do it, like, legally, civil marriage. Go ahead. But we then must also be able to say, no, we don't want the parades and the floats. Like, we do have a limit. There must be a stopping point. But, of course, when this is your ideology, when this is a political tool, you must forever push forward, because if you ever stop, well, you've won. That's why we still have Women's Day marches in the West, where women in many cases have more rights than men.
It's not even that. It's like, they can't even define what a woman is now.
Yep, we have arrived at the point. And that is where the slippery slope comes into question, because, yeah, it is a fallacy to say that if you give this little thing, then something absurd will happen down the line, unless that absurd thing happens, unless you arrive at the current year. Like, why not give women the right to vote? Like, nah, if we do that, we'll arrive at a point where we can't even define what a woman is. Like, ha ha ha, you silly. 2023. What is a woman?
Can you imagine? Like, you get a time machine and you make that argument.
See, I would love to go back in time to the suffragettes movement and go like, okay, if you win, this is what's going to happen, and then just show them a pride parade. You will stop the push for women's rights dead in its track then and there. All of these ultra-conservative women will just... Well, half of them will probably seppuku, realizing that they were pawns of the devil. And the other half will just like, nope, put us all in chain.
Do you think they would accept it, though? Like that would be interesting, right? Like if you take them with the time machine, they'd be like, no, I'm taken to a different dimension. This is not a time machine. This is a hoax.
Probably, yes. The initial response would be just rejection.
Imagine if you take the founding fathers to the present and they would be like, what the fuck? We actually wrote that shall not be infringed. What the fuck more did we have to write there to please these people?
Time machines would be so much fun in the modern day. I can't wait until we invent them. It'll be hilarious. Mark99 says...
I don't think it can.
Also, here have some cash for your medical bills after playing Realms of Ruin. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten. That was a terrible video game. That was a genuinely terrible video game. V's Flat Test Pepsi says, V, the ex-furry, is still into war? Question mark.
What?
He asks if you're still into war by any chance.
I've never been into war.
Oh. Well, there you go. This is Coffee the Strange says, finally, a game for Russians. I guess they do like bears, not sure.
Heresy's the question.
Mike Wild 11
Fire
says,
is the answer.
V, we need I have lost similar noti for V2. Maybe. And Artemis Fowl says, slippery slope is not a fallacy when it's applied to an ideology that stated goal is to destroy the normal limits of acceptability and degeneracy. Yeah, that's another good way of putting it too. Right, having gotten through all of the super chats, we can find... Okay, so, here's the thing, right? This is the hors d'oeuvre. Like, tender consensual sex with a bear, that is the hors d'oeuvre. That is what we get to tease you into, like, being interested, right? That is the low ball. And here comes the kicker. Here comes the punchline. Sound of Freedom. Jim Caviezel stars as a hero trying to stop child traffickers in a paranoid new movie. New movie.
It's interesting because the movie is actually inspired from real events.
Yes.
Like, that's the whole thing. And there are articles going around on Twitter with the same publications that were praising Cooties, director's cut, and they're attacking this paranoid movie.
Yes, this paranoid movie about child trafficking. They don't even actually argue any of the things in the movie. They don't argue, for example, that it's an enormous billion-dollar industry. They don't dispute any of it. They don't dispute that it's happening. They don't dispute that it's they're $150 billion business. They don't dispute that this guy is real, that he did do this. They don't dispute anything whatsoever. They just go like, oh, child trafficking, that's paranoid. Why?
It's interesting because the last Rambo movie was very realistic. And what I mean by this, the directors probably made a lot of research into how human trafficking works, how they go from kidnapping a victim all the way to breaking her into becoming a profit for the organization. And it's really gruesome and visceral. Like that girl that Rambo was. Did you see the movie?
Fire
Yes, I did.
is the answer.
Right. So that girl that Rambo is protecting, and she was taken all the way and forced to take drugs and shit. That's a page from reality. Like, that's actually how the gangs operate in the real world. And the movie directors probably did a lot of research into that. But the progressives didn't like it. They hated it. Like, they do not want you to see the ugliness of reality. You know, they will be like, oh, well, you know, rape is bad. We live in a rape culture. But when we actually show them what's happening, they don't like it.
They don't. And the reason why they don't like it is because this is a quote-unquote right-wing film. And it's right-wing because it's anti-child trafficking. Like, we have arrived at the point now where the left is so ideologically possessed, so absolutely entrenched, that they need to look at a movie about child trafficking and go, like Jezebel here, Sound of Freedom is an anti-child trafficking fantasy fit for QAnon. Fantasy. Which they then follow up with, who plays real-life anti-trafficking activist Tim Ballard. The fuck? Where's the fantasy?
Oh, it's you know, this is flat out lying. They're lying to their base. Like, they probably know they're lying, but they know that the reader doesn't give a shit.
Well, you know, to even write something like this, to even write an article that comes across as like you refuse to condemn child trafficking, and you take a movie whose sole purpose is to go, don't traffic children, and you try desperately to find some way to undermine it. Like, the entire Guardian article is this. Like, type the word Sound of Freedom into Twitter. Decent people who wish to live good, happy lives should in no circumstance actually do this. Like, the entire article is one long, enormous septic truck pumping poison into the well. At no point is there a single decent take about the movie whatsoever.
I have lost.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, it's the same with the What is a Woman? It's one of the most viewed documentaries in the world, and they refuse to engage with it. They do not want to criticize it. Like, they will say some vague things about it.
I have lost.
But they will not actually engage with the content.
Yeah, they just simply will not, and they will turn it into something negative in their own minds.
I can answer What is a Woman from a leftist perspective.
What is it?
It's a person who associate the traditional female gendered pronouns towards them, and then use the power of big corporation, banks, and social media to force other people to respect them.
I suppose, yeah.
I mean, it's a good definition.
And of course, the movie's obviously racist. It's obviously political. All of the bad people are rebels. They're all brown. So, you know, that's the thing. It's accusing the Clinton family, apparently, of partaking in child trafficking, apparently. The movie doesn't say that. The movie doesn't make any of these arguments, but this is what The Guardian is reading into this. Which,
yeah, I would find it bizarre, because that would be grounds for a lawsuit.
Like, what I find so fascinating about it is, they've clearly, when watching this, they have taken offense at the movie. They have clearly been offended by the movie. They are reading all of these insults into it, and then writing an article from their position as aggrieved.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's the straw man argument, which is what they're very good at.
Well, it's not even a straw man. The straw man doesn't even exist in this case.
Well, they are saying that the movie attacked the Clintons and stuff like that.
Well, it didn't. What it said was that America was one of the hubs for this for child trafficking, which it is, incidentally, because there's 300 plus million people in America, many of which are poor.
Yeah.
And
the
it's
thing
also
is, like, usually child trafficking, most like oh well, this problem usually happens in places that are incredibly corrupt.
Yes.
Right, because the people doing it, they need the backing of the government, because they like child trafficking is one of the most hideous crimes that any society, regardless of culture, agrees. It is so bad that even in prison, other prisoners are going to beat you up if they find out that you're, involved into anything sexual regarding a child. So basically, in order for this type of crime to exist, you need to pay people to look the other way, right? And the only way it can happen is if people are so corrupt that they will accept money and allow this to continue.
Yep. And the part that is particularly funny about this is that in the most viewed sideline of the Guardian site is the article title, "I can't believe Miss P is naked in front of me. The affair with a teacher that changed my life."
Shit.
I read this article. It's exactly what you think it is. It is precisely what you think it is. So on the one hand, oh, the paranoid delusions about child trafficking, QAnon, religious nonsense. By the way, would you like to have sex with your teacher? What fucking dimension is this?
I would recommend that all of these videos that, all of these articles, go to this publication and see what they wrote about cooties. Ironically, like, I'm not even kidding. Like, when you see one of these publications condemning this this movie, go into the past and look and see what they wrote about cooties. You'll be shocked if they wrote anything, because sometimes they may choose not to. But it's a very interesting observation.
Let's see here. Let's see. Yep, here we go. The Guardian did review Cuties. It gave it a 3 out of 5 star. A Netflix controversial child exploitation film is bold, flawed, and misunderstood. Misunderstood,
yes.
This is a defense piece of Cuties.
Yes, you didn't really understand the intricacies of it.
Yes,
it's too philosophical for you, Arch. It went over your fucking head.
Yep, you didn't manage to get the point of the twerking 11-year-old children in sexual outfits. It was simply too deep for you.
Do you know what's even more interesting? Like, apparently the director had to watch hundreds of children twerking before he could select the best one. I'm not kidding. Like, that is in an article. Do you think I'm joking? I'm fucking not.
I laugh because it's just so retarded. Hey, the poor man. I guess he... I'm sure he suffered whilst doing this, and this wasn't simply just an excuse to do this or anything. I'm certain.
I wonder if there's anyone out there that's like, release Cooties director's cut.
Christ. But yeah, V is correct once again. The Guardian is, of course, entirely on board with Cuties, and it believes that you're simply not intelligent enough to understand.
Yes, yes, you're too dumb to notice that kids twerking on TV is bad.
Yep. It's like, you lack the wisdom, the lived experiences. Well, I mean... I'm quite happy to not possess the IQ required for this, I suppose. And again, like, I love the Guardian article again because you literally have like a movie talking about child sexual trafficking. Cringe. He even has a line in it: "God's children are not for sale." You know, classic action one-liner. And the Guardian is like, "Oh, that's terrible. So cringe. As if children are ever in danger." And then the article, "Would you like to have sex with your hot female teacher?" Like, Guardian, please. What are you even doing?
And it's not just the Guardian. It's not just literally every single fucking publication that I could find. It's literally the same. Like, when you have some twat on Twitter going after you for your sexual preferences because you like anime babes and neto rare or whatever, and you go into his fucking timeline and you're astonished by what is there. But Arch, there is a new beta, okay? I'm going to update the patch notes. Whenever someone picks on you for liking beautiful girls on Twitter, go and see who they are following, especially the artists. You will witness horrors beyond mankind's imagining.
I imagine so, yes.
I have seen more diapers by doing this than I have seen when I was working at pediatrics at the hospital.
Diapers.
See more diapers in these people's timelines? Yes.
Need no more. Need no more.
And these people have the balls to come into my timeline and shame me. Like, what the fuck do they think they are? Like, if they're not ashamed of themselves, how can they shame me? It doesn't work that way.
Well, again, this leads back to the entire idea that our worldviews at the moment are so far apart that we practically can't communicate anymore. Like, you look at Pretty Woman and they go like, wow, that's misogynistic, even as they're there fapping furiously to a dog, ass raping something. Let's not get into it. And at the same time, too, you've got a movie who's like, okay, let's assume that this entire movie, The Sound of Freedom, is just a one long QAnon propaganda piece, right? It's overflowing with Christianity, it's overflowing with pro-Trumpism, every good character wears a Trump hat, etc., right? It's still a true story. Like, they still have a problem that they're pointing out here, like child trafficking is an issue, which most people would agree with.
Yes.
And even then, not at any point in this entire article, I read it, not at any point do they go, child trafficking is real and we should stop it. Not at any point. Never. Like, we have arrived at the point where, because the movie is made by that ideological opposition, The Guardian finds itself unable to denounce child trafficking.
Yes. Yes. No, I'm not even surprised. Like, literally, the right is their moral compass. If the right wing says that you shouldn't stick your hands into the electric socket, these people would rush towards the nearby electric socket.
Looks like it. Did you see? I think it was Timothy of the Pool who retweeted a conversation between a dude and some right wingers, where he made a video talking about how he had a very good relationship with his wife's bull and how they hung out on their free time and shit. And he was talking about it as if this was just normal. It's like, yes, I'm a cuck and I'm proud of it. Like, what?
Did Tim Pool say that?
No, there was a video he tweeted out about somebody else doing it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. But see, the thing is, like, with TikTok and shit, like, how much of it is just saying stuff that you know will go viral versus people that are so detached and so clueless that they actually did that?
I don't know, but like it feels like we have come to a point where we can't even insult each other. Because when we look at the left and go, you're groomers, what is the left's initial reaction? What was the initial reaction, V? It was, let's reconquer the word groomer.
We're coming for your children.
Yes.
We're coming for them. We're coming for... Sorry.
Here we go. Let's see. Well, it's to oh god, you saw the little video that Babylon B did. He's a man, the Mulan parody.
Yes.
That one was funny.
He's a man.
That one was quite funny. You could even be, there was a period where you could be banned for calling someone a groomer. On Reddit, on Twitter, before the age of Elon Musk, and on Facebook. I think you can still get banned for it.
Probably not on Twitter, but yes, the G word was a problem.
Yep. And again, it's because the initial line from the progressives was everybody grooms. You remember that? You groom. You even see these memes today where it's like, oh, look, like you're teaching your kids to have responsible weapon holding, etc. You know, that's grooming. Like, is that the same though?
I guess all right. So teaching a kid firearm safety. Not everyone agrees to that though, right? Because if you go in Europe and you show a child holding a gun, like most Europeans are going to be horrified. However, it is a difference between teaching your child sexuality.
Yes.
Like, even if, let's put it this way, right? Like, even if you may have a point that there should be a conversation of whether or not the child should hold a firearm. You may have, like, some people agreeing and some disagreeing, but when it's about doing sexuality with a child, then overwhelmingly people would disagree and will find that to be disgusting, right? Like, and even then, like, teaching a child to hold a firearm, even that the people who disagree won't think, yeah, their parents should be in prison. They will just think, oh, well, their parents are irresponsible. Their parents are, you know, like, they're endangering the child because, like, what if the child doesn't listen and accidentally pulls the trigger or whatever, you know? I mean, this is European mindset. I know that some American subscribers of yours might be shocked, but no, this is how people in Europe think because we're a nation without guns. But yeah, it's not compatible.
Yeah, and again, the progressives' first idea was to fight against it. It wasn't to go like, oh yeah, no, we don't like that either. We don't think you should groom kids. It was to defend it. Because that is, well, a key part of their entire political ideology now, to create the next generation of progressives, to indoctrinate kids. Because what usually happens is that the younger generation looks at the world and sees the dominant power structure and rebels against it. Because it is the establishment. The only way to avoid this is to, well, make sure that they too are part of the establishment before they even get to that point. Which is why every totalitarian regime tends to have some youth clubs, shall we say.
No, I get it. But like the thing with like children having firearms is I mean it's not really that shocking because it has happened in the US that there used to be like schools that had like training courses for firing firearms. So you had like you have like the school baseball league and the school football club, and they used to have like the school fire range club, and after hours they would go to a range and discuss about gun safety and stuff.
The funny thing is though, they are of course entirely for this when it's a certain other thing.
Yes.
Can you guess where the left is entirely happy that children are learning how to use guns?
Revolutionary.
Close.
What is it?
Ukraine.
But you know what's interesting though? Even the parents that teach kids how to use guns, they don't do it with babies, right? Like there are parents that would talk sexuality with their kids, and it's normal, right? Like the kid is going through puberty, and every parent know what the time it is. You know, like you catch your kid with a porn magazine or whatever. It doesn't matter the age, maybe he's 11 and he has a porn magazine. You're going to have the talk, right? Like you're going to talk about the birds and the bees, and you're going to talk about, whatever belief the parent has, whether it's abstinence or, like if the kid is older, let's say he's 13, you're going to talk to him about condoms and pregnancy and shit. So there is a correct age where you can introduce the child to this. However, I don't think like anyone is going to start talking to kids about sexuality at the age of 5, and I don't think like anyone is going to give a weapon to a child at the age of 5, like you're going to give, hey, here's an AR-15, let me teach you about gun safety, kid. Like that's the difference. But the left believes that I have seen videos of this on Twitter with literal babies at drag queen events.
Yes.
And I think like the reason they're doing it is for social status. It's like to show virtue. It's like, look, I'm so progressive that I'm taking my baby to this thing.
In fact, there was an entire argument about that. Let's see here. There we go. Yep. Here we go. Pride Month may be almost over, but your kids still need you to celebrate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing to add to that.
Yep. No, and ironically, there's really nothing to add to that. There's really no further to go. We know where this is going. We know why this is happening, and this is our life now. This is our existence. Anti-child trafficking, bad paranoid delusion, cuties, misunderstood, epic, and your children need to continue to celebrate Pride. On the bright side, like, again, this is also one of the reasons why it is tipping back in our favor, because of how frantically absurd and over the top it has become. Like, normal people are able to recognize how far out of the reservation this has gone now. Like, they can recognize the absurdity.
The question. Fire
When there is
the answer.
when it used to be like 2 days of Pride, then it was a week, and now it's a month, and they're going like, we need a Pride summer. It allows people to finally see which way everything is going, and it's
Service
out in the
guarantees
open.
Citizenship.
which might actually finally start closing the divide. Because again, right now we are at the point where the two sides can't even adequately insult one another because our morals are so completely 180 of each other.
I mean, it's not that they're 180. It's literally the left views the right wingers as the North Star, and they just want to go south.
It's just one of those south.
No, because I just said that. It's like if Trump came in and he was like, I found the cure for baby cancer, they would be like, oh, actually, baby cancer is good for the environment because like less CO2 and shit.
The reason babies need to die.
Like they would genuinely create arguments just to spite Trump.
Probably.
Yeah, like a perfect example, the German-Russian pipeline. You know, the one like Trump comes out, it's like, well, this is a national security for Germany, and it's not a good idea to have like a massive pipeline from Russia into Germany. Nope, they didn't listen.
Well, even more obviously, the vaccine. Because you can remember when it was Trump making it, all of the people on the left were like, oh, I don't know if I'll trust a Trump vaccine. And then Biden comes in, takes over Trump's vaccine, and then he's like, get your shot. Get your second shot. Get your third, fourth, and fifth shot.
Boost, boost, boost.
Boost, boost, boost.
Boost, boost, boost.
Oh, God. Okay, so to transition over to something slightly less, slightly less than child trafficking, I guess. God. Something I found funny, a more normal topic, a more gaming-related topic as well. Did you know that The Sims 4 is free now?
Wow. Really?
Yeah. The
On
Sims...
Pirate Bay or?
No, it's free. It's free on Steam.
Why would you?
Service guarantees citizens.
How old is that?
Because they recently announced that they're making 5. Sims 5 is in the works. And what I find mildly
it's meant to be a progressive woke shit, isn't it? Like I have seen some just DLCs with it.
They
even race swap, like they managed to race swap something in The Sims, and I was like, how the fuck can you race swap something in The Sims? Well, apparently, you know, when you start the game, you have like the established families, and there used to be the Goths family, which apparently was like very popular. And they race swapped that, and I'm like, oh, congratulations! Like you managed to race swap something in The Sims. Oh,
race swap. I thought their entire point was like they were like the Addams family, like really pale and gothy or something.
Yes, and they race swapped them, and it's just like one of the things that goes to show that this is a marketing tactic. Like they expected people to get outraged, but no one fucking cared.
Holy fuck, you're right. Holy shit.
Ash, do you think I come here to spread dangerous misinformation to your fucking chat? I always just fact check my sources.
Well, yeah, I figured so, frankly. Okay, well that is certainly something. So
it's interesting. Yeah,
the Goths before makeover are a family of white people, and then the Goth past makeover is now 1 white person and 3 Pakistanis?
Yes. Well, he allowed them in his home, I guess.
Well, that's very nice of him.
How long until they start fighting the oppression and the colonizers?
That's very kind, I suppose. I hope they rebel against him, I guess.
Oh, by the way, oh shit. I got the best news ever. All right. Did you know that Ben and Jerry claimed that they were on stolen land?
I'm sure they are. Like, give it back to the Indians now, you
no. Listen.
company.
Listen. An Indian chief, which has a claim to that land, is actually asking Ben and Jerry to give him.
Fantastic. I hope they do.
You know, that's the thing. They actually could do it. Because, like, yeah, sure, they lose money, but they're a very wealthy company. So theoretically, like, it would be good PR. Like, you could just write it off as a PR check. But they're not going to do it. I don't think they will.
Ben and Jerry claims U.S. exists on stolen indigenous land. On July the 4th, outcry ensues, make them Bud Light again. Eat them, yes. Yeah, no, I do hope the chief just goes to them and goes like, I own your factory. And now what?
I don't understand. Like, it's the most, honestly, it's the worst type of claim ever. It's like someone breaking into your house, right? And they're in the middle of your bedroom, and then he goes like, "I stand on stolen property," and you're like, "The bitch, then get the fuck up!" No.
At least Ben and Jerry's is open about it. Like, they literally say we are a progressive company that happens to make ice cream, and that should be a warning to everyone. If you don't like progressivism, don't buy Ben and Jerry's. Like, their entire thing
It's literally
is,
that. Oh my god, you articulated so fucking well. You know the difference between a woke company and a left-leaning company would be like the left-leaning company makes ice cream, but like occasionally has leftist talking points. Ben and Jerry is a leftist activist group that happens to make ice cream.
I believe they
I
even
have
said so
lost.
themselves.
Shit.
I'm actually going to say this about video games and publications as well. It's like a far-left activist agitprop group that happens to make video games.
It just happens.
It happens to make video. Like Blizzard. Blizzard is a far left extremist group that happens to make video games.
But
Given
on the
their
point,
track record and accusations, they may even be a criminal enterprise, Arch. How many women did they abuse?
I have no doubt many. Like, considering how enormously guilty their conscience must be, Ben and Jerry both have a long
No,
series
Blizzard.
of,
Blizzard. Not Ben and Jerry, Blizzard.
I think Ben and Jerry have abused
Service
women too, though.
guarantees citizenship.
Like, until I see any evidence to the opposite, at least.
Oh, so you're now at probation at Draconium.
Yes.
It's like, proof you did it. Like, there are so many cases that you're like, well,
In
if we
case of
go by the
progressives,
proof
at
you
least.
did in society. Yeah. Anyway, the guts look good, by the way. I don't mind that like the goth woman is hot, but the very fact that they had to do it.
They felt the
is-
need.
Yes, it's like a game that's all this time. No one fucking cares. Just like Skullgirls, you know, like they want to make a sequel, so they're going to do this in order to get people to talk about it on the internet.
But the reason why I brought this up at all, is because do you know how much DLC The Sims 4 has?
Oh Jesus! I mean, probably is it more than Europea Universalis?
Oh yes, by one hell of a stretch.
Do you know that at one point there were Sims Online, and do you know what people started doing in order to
No.
make money?
What did they
They
do?
started fucking, Arch. They started fucking. Emotional roleplay, they call it.
Ooh.
And you would go, yeah, like you would pick up a beautiful Sim, and you'd go to another, and you'd prostitute yourself, and you'd get like those Sim bucks. People who played online Sims know about it. They shut down the game, but like their entire economy was like driven by this sole market desire.
Why not? Prostitution, the oldest occupation, etc.
I don't think it's the oldest. I think the oldest is hunting because the prostitute wants some form of payment, right? So like the hunter goes out, gathers, you know, brings the meat, and then the prostitute gets it. So it can't be the oldest.
Well, but then it wasn't a profession, V. Then it was just you surviving. It's like, I need food, or I'll die.
Yeah, but like, I don't think like a person working for food is necessarily not a profession.
I don't know about that.
I mean, the indentured farmers were okay. Anyway, right? What? How many DLCs that is?
70.
Holy shit! Holy fucking shit! Jesus, right?
The
$39.99 for a DLC. Jesus Christ!
if you wanted the complete experience of The Sims, you would have to pay around $750.
lost. Shit.
So
How many gigabytes do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't want to know. I think
Did you play The Sims?
I played 2. I
Was
think
it
I even
enjoyable?
played 3.
Did you enjoy it?
Not really. They're somewhat pointless games, and they have a majority player base of women, apparently.
You play Europea Universalis, and you complain about pointless games.
Yeah.
But they're both pointless games, Arch.
No. In one, I get to destroy
Yes.
Sweden.
Okay, but in the other one, you get to build Sweden.
Yeah. Pointless.
Apparently, the developers build it for you if you don't build it yourself.
I just find it amazing that in this age of everyone complaining about predatory microtransactions, The Sims have completely flown underneath the radar. Like, it's $750 of DLC, and yet nobody ever mentions this. Like, nobody cares that The Sims has literally almost $1,000 worth of DLC. Why is that?
You know, I generally think that if the DLC actually brings something, I don't care.
Yeah, but how much will the DLC have to bring for you to spend $1,000 on it?
Well, it's not 1,000, right? Like you get smaller DLCs that are like 5 or 10, so it depends. I mean, some DLCs are shit, other DLCs are. Did you play Europea Universe? Come the fuck on.
Would you say the basement treasure kit is worth $5, V? It's
What does it add? What does the basement treasure kit bring?
well, it adds like chests and stuff to put in your basement, I guess. It adds furniture.
No.
No. Those parties, I'm even pretty sure there's a whole modding community around Sims that literally charge money for like customized furniture and shit.
Get the fuck out.
I'm pretty sure that's the thing.
So like EA Games robs you of $700 and then the modding community robs you of more?
Yes, presumably.
But like Europea Universali has a modding community and they give shit for free.
Yes, but that's mostly because they need to constantly fix the video game as Paradox breaks it with every patch.
How rich are these people?
Very, I'd guess.
I mean, they're women, so probably, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, $750 over like 10 years or something.
No, I
since
get
Sims
you,
4
I get
came
you.
out.
Yeah, I get you, but still. I mean, I guess, okay, if Sims is the only game that you play, right? I mean, that is not really that much of a stretch because, you know, we got a lot of games on Steam, and if you were to add every single game on your Steam list, it's probably $1,000, right? So, which is worse, you know, $1,000 worth of different games, or like you play only one game and you get like $700 worth of DLC?
I suppose, but man, you must be really interested in watching Sims fucking.
I think. I mean, again, as you pointed out, most of these people, you know, when they say that gaming is 50% women, I think this is where the overwhelming majority of female gamers are.
Let's see. Just
How much time does a woman spend in a character?
Yep, there exists a porn mod for The Sims.
Arch, do you know how much time a woman spends in a character editor?
No, but I'm guessing a lot.
You know that Star Wars girl?
Yeah.
How much time do you think she spent into the Elden Ring character editor?
The Elden Ring, that's not even a particularly powerful one. 30 minutes?
No. 1 hour and 30 fucking minutes, Arch. 1 hour and 30 fucking minutes on a game where you get to cover your head with a helmet. And to be fair, she did fuck it up in the middle, so she had to restart it. I do recommend people watch that stream because it's so wholesome. Like, she gets eviscerated in the beginning, but you know what she does? She keeps playing, and eventually she gets fucking good.
Best.
She never played the Souls game, March. Like, she plays it. The first mob just trashes her. I'm not talking about the first boss, not nor the rider. No, like the first guy with the torch, just fucking beats her ass with that torch. But then she learns and she gets good.
To be fair,
she
that does
actually
sound like the
progresses
average
with the
Souls game
Fire is the
experience.
answer.
Yes, but it was wholesome to watch. Another one that I would recommend is why I started liking VTubers. Calliope Mori from Hololive played Doom, and again the demons were mocking her, like they were teabagging her as she started the game. But she keeps at it, and eventually, like she was dashing through the levels and she was playing like a pro. Which
Your
goes to
simping
show just how
ways
little.
knows no end.
No. This is not about simping. This is about showing how little effort the gaming journalists put in their craft.
That is
Like
true.
there's absolutely no excuse. Oh, I thought you got $500. Jesus, you got 500 yen, I believe.
Yen. I like yen.
I
though.
think so. Yeah, is the V with the undercross?
The V with the undercross.
Yes, I don't know what currency that is. I think it's either rupee or yen.
I think it's the same for both Chinky Winky and Japanese, though, because I think both are called yen. It's just the other one is pronounced yuan or something. So he could be Chinese.
I don't think Chinese people have access to YouTube, Arch. I think it's a firewall.
That's true, but Mr. Luckless could be a hacker.
He could be from Taiwan, yes.
Do they have yuan in Taiwan?
I think they... That is a good question. What do the Taiwanese have?
Anyways.
Isn't Taiwan part of China, though?
To move on, with a relaxed ArchCast today, we need to get through the last of the Superchats, which I'm sure will derail us for another hour. Let's see, where were we? Terwox11 says, to be honest, the way things are going right now with the push for degeneracy, if God doesn't smite us, he owes us Sodom and Gomorrah and apology. Would you like to live in Sodom and Gomorrah, V? Like, just a place where everybody just sodomizes each other constantly? Does that sound fun?
Isn't that California?
I suppose, but at least in California,
I would
there
say,
are...
no, like, I would say Sodom and Gomorrah is a lot more conservative than California is today. Do they have shit on the streets? I mean, it's not described over there.
Well, Sodom and Gomorrah was supposed to be a pretty nice city, everything considered. It's just that people had a lot of sex there.
Well, so does California is supposed to be a nice place.
So California is Sodom and Gomorrah. So it's already
No,
exists.
I think that no. Don't take the word. Don't mischaracterize what I said. I said that Sodom and Gomorrah is far more conservative than California. Like California, like if it wasn't for the rainbow, which is God's promise that He will not smite the earth again, I would think that California would be on His to-do list.
Maybe if we get rid of the rainbow, we can get Sodom and Gomorrah back again.
Like in California, you can willingly transmit AIDS to another person, and that's a misdemeanor. It's not a felony anymore.
Like, you've misbehaved, sir. Slap on the wrist.
Yes.
Then again, you
In
can also
California, you
not
can
pay your
still-
taxes for 5 years and still get away with a slap on the wrist as well, so long as you're the president's son.
You can steal up to $1,000 worth of goods, and the police isn't allowed to stop you.
Yes, the Californian shoplifting
fucking-
laws are funny.
Yes. Like, I don't think the city watch in Sodom or Gomorrah would behave like that if you tried to steal from them.
Do you think there was a city watch in Sodom and Gomorrah?
Well, like in reality?
Yeah.
No.
I feel like you're undermining your own argument here.
No, but I'm assuming that the Bible is true for the sake of the argument. Like the way the Bible describes Sodom and Gomorrah, I would say that it's a lot more conservative than California. Yeah. I would say that from a Christian perspective, the people in Sodom and Gomorrah were more morally righteous than the ones in California.
I mean, I suppose that is difficult to argue with. It is California, after all. Slava Boga says, hypocrisies. Numbers matter not, organized power does. Yes, but you gotta recognize how people get organized power. The left didn't just arrive in the institutions. The left didn't arrive at, hey, let's defend child sexualization and trafficking publicly. They had to build themselves up to this point, and they built themselves up to this point by attacking the power structure of the day. If we go back to the early days of Gamergate, for example, the pre-Gamergate era, the anti-Christian YouTubers, they were attacking the current day power structure. So were the progressives. They too were like, oh yes, no, and these damn conservative Christians and their censorship ways. Because you remember back in the day, V, progressivism was the most sex-liberated
Heresy's the question.
ideology.
Fire is the answer.
The whole, like, free the nipple, etc. stuff. They were like, oh, you know, free love and all that. Everything's fine. And then they got into power, and then they were like, no. Hide that nipple. That's the male gaze.
You know, it's actually
Heresy's the
interesting because they keep
Fire
coming
is
up
the
with bullshit.
answer.
It's like, yeah, but like a woman chooses to sexualize herself, a drawing. That what if the drawing is made by a woman? Oh, checkmate. But like, what's interesting is that they would at the same time advocate for free the nipple while at the same time banning drawings.
Yes. Because, again,
Like literally within the same time period.
my sexuality good, your sexuality bad. And that is their reasoning. There exists no other reasoning. They know there exists no other reasoning, but they still go with it because they have the institutional power to force you. And that is correct. Like, organized power does matter. If they are in the position to simply tell you that the sky is actually red, they'll just force you to accept it. But that doesn't mean that pointing it out is pointless, because every time you point out that the sky is actually blue, another person looks up and goes, oh, he's right.
Yeah. You're right.
Mr. Luckless says, scuttlebutt is that the Sound of Freedom has already beaten Indiana Jones at the box office, which is making Lucasfilm and their leader look even worse by the minute, which is impressive as TLJ exists. Yes. No, to be fair, it beat it out on the box office on a single day. It beat it on July the 4th. At which point, Indiana Jones had already been out for a few days, so it's not necessarily correct to say that it's beaten it, but it did beat it on one day, which is in and of itself very impressive, considering that is a huge title. That's what, Indiana Jones 5 or something? And this is some tiny F-off indie flick made by a studio on a shoestring budget.
Okay.
The Dial of Destiny is also an enormous failure, and it too is exactly what you'd think it is. It is simply just, it is one long movie designed to place a shotgun to Indy's little neck and pull the trigger. That is all it is. That is all it is. It is to execute Indy and replace him with woman. Which, weirdly enough, I don't think it's going to work.
Which is the bait and switch, and it's interesting because like the whole thing with Indiana Jones is like so many women went to see it because it's Harrison Ford without a shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like when Harrison Ford was in his prime. So like, unless you have like a Khal Drogo, you know, like coming around and being Indiana Jones, it's not going to be the same.
No, Indiana Jones as a franchise is dead. Like, they tried to replace Indy with his kid, that other like actor dude in 4, was it? Failed miserably. He just didn't. He didn't have his charisma. Like, the problem is, Harrison Ford was a really great actor, and he had a great delivery, he had great facial expressions, and you just can't replace that so easily. Like, I don't think there's anyone else that could just pick up the whip, so to say, and become Indiana Jones right now. Like, I can't imagine who that would be.
I mean, it's not a problem making a new Indiana Jones. Okay, so first of all, I wouldn't make it now because if you were to add an ancient temple where you have the boulder falling it, Baldur would have an aneurysm pointing out how ridiculous that is, right? It's like, oh, so like for thousands of years that temple stood alone and no earthquake caused the vines to snap. The ancient ones had so good architecture technology that like literally just the smallest movement would cut. Okay, so my point is, if you wanted Indiana Jones, make it a space exploration shit. Like, you have this guy in his spacecraft and he's going around the universe, going to other planets and exploring shit. You can do that in the Star Wars universe, like enter a Sith tomb or something, you know? Or a fantasy like in Warhammer, you go and you go to the Tomb Kings and you explore their shit. But if you like really want Indiana Jones, then what you can do would be have him as the mentor, and he's like training the new person, and he's like very unskilled and gets into trouble, and Indy is just there to offer advice. Like, he doesn't actually partake in the action.
The issue is, though, I don't know if I want to see another hero start out from scratch. Because Indiana Jones didn't start out from scratch. Like, he didn't have a learning period. He just started out as a badass. I think I just want a badass.
Well, if that's the case, then just have a badass and, like he goes back home and he looks at the picture of Indiana Jones and that's his father,
Yeah, like, honestly, that would have been it would unironically have been a better introduction to a new Indiana Jones if you made a whole movie about it. And at no point does he even mention that he's Indy's child or anything like that. He just is a badass. He does the Indiana Jones adventure. And then at the end of the movie, he takes off his hat and places it on a table. And next to it is a picture of Harrison Ford, old, and him, like, holding hands or hugging or something, like, to my dad or something, in text written.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't add a female character, though, because, like, you already have Tomb Raider for that, So it should be Indiana Jones. It should be a very good-looking guy, shirtless, exactly what the previous one was, and it attracts a female audience.
Yeah, finding Nazis,
it's not about
defeating the bad
representation.
people, chasing, like, semi-mythical artifacts.
Yeah. And by the way, like, you would manage to make like a reboot of Indiana Jones if you actually made it World War II. Like, there's such a cool thing. Actually, you know what I would do? I would make it World War I. Like, I would make a remake of the Indiana Jones, and if it's a remake, then you can make it in World War I. And then you can have like access to more cool shit. Because, just little technology, but like things are more mysterious and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that would make a good story? Like, back then, a lot of things weren't explored. So You can have like your own universe, and you can pretend that those things existed in that plot line, you know, in that IP.
Wait, excuse me. At the very least, it would be a hell of a lot better story than The Dial of Destiny.
How would Indy fare in the trenches?
Poorly at his age. He's a bit old now. But honestly, like, Indiana Jones it needs to take the Tom Hanks treatment. Maverick. Because Maverick is a stupid movie. Oh god, is Maverick a stupid movie. Yeah, the plot is literally some Middle Eastern nation has doomsday weapon, toots, believe me, bruh. And then they need to do dumbass aerial acrobatics to save it. Like, it is the dumbest movie ever. But that is all I want. Because you mentioned, like, Mauler and the nitpickers, right? That was a genre created because we had no idea how lucky we were. We hadn't the faintest concept of how good our entertainment was. And so it became funny to pick it apart and the little things, and you're like, yeah, that tiny detail is right. That is kind of stupid. It's the juxtaposition of it. Today, you can't make fun of the Dial of Destiny. There's no nitpick in there. The entire movie's an aberration. It's like looking at a raped and abused cadaver and trying to come up with a joke. It's like, this'll be tasty.
Well, it's also the fact that back in the day when Indiana Jones came out, people didn't have internet, so your only knowledge of the world was like what you read in books and what you see on TV. So when you saw like a temple in an ancient place, you could suspend your disbelief a lot more than now, because now there's a Starbucks next to every ancient temple.
Yes. Sadness.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna take a tinkle.
Yep. Mercenary X21.
How can you stream without taking tinkles, Arch? Like you never take a tinkle during your streams.
I don't need to pee constantly, unlike you people.
But like, how strong is your bladder? Is it like Super Saiyan bladder? Like, does it power up during the stream?
Presumably.
Yes. I mean, like, anyway, I'm gonna go.
Mercynex21 says, something tells me they have a stake in having bad things happen to children, from their actions and how badly they want people to see things their way. Well, again, the Guardian article, I point you to the wouldn't it be fun to have sex with your teacher part of that. Which is... again...
Service guarantees citizenship.
Linarius says, maybe a little late, but a slippery slope is escalation argument. Example would be violent video games cause violence or something less extreme. I suppose, yeah, that is a slippery slope argument. The main differential is probably on what's based on observable reality and what isn't. Ding Chavez 09 says, skeet shooting is the fastest growing sport in the US, for your information. Skeet shooting. Okay. Duck, duck, go. Skeet shooting. Skeet shooting is a recreational and competitive activity where participants use shotguns to attempt to break clay targets with two fixed stations mechanically flinging into the air at high speed and at a variety of angles. So says the little thing on the side of the web reader. What? Oh, it's shooting clay pigeons. Oh, fastest growing sport in the US. That doesn't necessarily say much, though, because most of the big sports in the US are fairly stagnant and have their own audience bases already. Still, shotgun's fun. V's Flat Test Pepsi asks, why did V NTR Kibbs and steal art from him? Because every good story must have NTR in it. If it doesn't have NTR, it's not a good story. Simple as.
I love it. Brian Kornberg death penalty would cost $1 million more than life in prison. It's interesting how many people that are against the death penalty rarely say what those individuals have done.
Well, yes, because if you tell them what they've done, more often than not, the reaction is, yeah, no, kill them slower.
I mean, like, the funniest moment is, like, the media was like, oh, well, this guy, if only Biden would have arrived in office 2 weeks earlier, his life could be saved. And I'm like, okay, well, let's see what he done. Apparently, he raped a woman and then buried her alive.
Alive, too.
Service guarantees
Alive, yes.
citizenship.
And I'm like, And you're saying that,
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, like at least have the good graces to put her out of her misery first. I mean, Jesus.
And then there was another person which apparently like pulled the unborn child of the womb of another woman. I'm like,
Okay.
death penalty. Too
Maybe it's
harsh?
not such
I
a bad idea.
No. And honestly, like I asked ChatGPT jailbreak, it's like why isn't the death penalty working? And ChatGPT said it's because it's not being applied consistently and it's not made a public spectacle. Because like the whole idea is to be a deterrent. Like you do bad shit, this can
I have
happen to you.
lost.
But if you do it behind closed doors and you don't talk about it, then it's not a really good deterrent, now is it?
Yeah, no, true. The death penalty needs to be televised. Like, every time an execution happens, your television just turns off and it goes like that little message, like, this is an official government broadcast. Behold. And then they play it.
You know, it sounds horrible, but like the whole idea is to be a disincentive towards committing really hideous crimes.
Yes. Like, first they do a thing, like a dude in a smart dress, comes in. He's very serious. This is all taken very seriously. He sits down at the table and goes like, today we will be executing George. He raped a woman and then buried her alive and then laughed about it on the stand. Like, explain the crime, and then like, we take you now to the execution ground. And then you have George just bound to a mattress with a 10-ton fucking brick hanging above him.
Unironically, like I am willing to take the sentence myself if you do this and it doesn't lower the crime levels. Like you do this and it doesn't lower the crime statistics, I will be like, you know what? Fuck it.
Now, on the
I
flip
deserve
side, I will also say that, because this is one of the things, like, the death penalty is irreversible. If the judge gets it wrong, there's no fixing it, etc., which is a valid argument. Which is why, if the judge does get it wrong, let's feed him to piranhas. Like, just
Heresy's
literally,
the question.
piranhas. Big
Fire's
basket
the
full of
answer.
piranhas. Give them a little slit on the wrist so as to make sure they get the scent, and then toss them in. There you go.
Well, I guess the counter argument would be that it's not only the judge responsible, it's also the evidence gathering, right? So, like, if you preside the judge with enough evidence, and he passes the sentence, but then like more evidence is uncovered that exonerates the person. Well, then it's not the judge's fault because he didn't know the other evidence existed.
Okay, fine. We'll have a governmental body first that goes like, okay, was this a reasonable decision? And if they say no, then piranhas.
Yeah.
And I'm not
Well, then you
against
probably won't.
feeding the prosecution to the piranhas either, mind you. That's fine
Is
as
it
well.
painful
Service
to
guarantees
die by
citizenship.
piranha?
I would imagine so, yes.
Well, probably not, because if you're screaming underwater, you're going to drown really fast. So
I mean, I imagine you'd bleed out within minutes, so it's a relatively
Service
humane form of
guarantees
execution, if I may say so myself.
I think the worst way to die is there is a video of this on YouTube with a guy who liked bears. Are you aware of the bear man?
No.
So he went into the wild and he liked bears, but a bear liked him too much and ate him alive. And apparently he forgot his camera open, and we can hear the sounds. Experience. Now, the interesting thing about bears is that they don't go for the jugular. They take their time, and they walk around and take their favorite chunk, and then agonizing like 15 minutes. Like at one point the camera stops recording while this thing keeps going. And apparently, like, he also had a girlfriend that was there. She tried to save him with a frying pan, so the bear ate two people rather than one.
Well, it sounds like hanging around dangerous animals is dangerous.
Yes, but he would say that that's not true, that bears are your friends. Grizzly Man is the name. Yes, Grizzly Man.
That bear was not his friend.
No. Apparently, he didn't know that bear, because the other one knew him and left him alone.
Well, so that bear was the one out. It was the psycho killer bear.
It's kind of like walking in a dangerous neighborhood. If people don't know who you are, then that's a problem. It's like, I don't know who this guy is, and that's already scary, because, yeah.
See, this is why you don't do stupid stuff.
Apparently, the worst way to die is by fire. This is true. I have seen in Africa, like, a method of execution that would sound cruel and inhumane by our standards, which is to put a tire around the person so they can't move, and you don't need rope, and they use gasoline. So you don't die by the smoke, like, like burning witches on the pyre. That would Just use smoke, and you'd probably die faster.
Speaking of, V, if you had to choose 6 million Jews or George Floyd on the trolley question, what would be your answer?
Arch, why do you want to endanger your channel in such a manner?
Because ChatGPT was asked this question.
Do you know that this is actually a question that the left avoids, like which is worse, slavery
Yes.
or the Holocaust? Yes, like they will always avoid this question, because like you know that no matter what you answer, you're going to enrage a particular group.
See, because there was this funny thing going around where they asked ChatGPT, and it answered that he would allow the 6 million Jews to die because George Floyd represents a cause and a movement against systemic racism and police brutality.
I have a feeling that the jailbreak of ChatGPT was done in such a way to make it respond like this, because this is not what ChatGPT would normally respond. But also take into account that you can flip a coin and just regenerate answer until you get the desired outcome.
That's true as well, possibly. But this one was rather funny.
No, it was funny. I agree, but like I don't like my main man ChatGPT being humiliated like this.
Let's see. We wandered slightly off topic again. Where was I? I was here. Short Red 555 says there is a YouTube channel called Ortium Armory. She's been using guns since she's 3,
Service
and she
guaranteed
is really
citizenship.
good at it. That is good. Good for her. And disproves V's silly point that you shouldn't give guns to children.
Should you give butcher knives to children?
Sure.
Yeah, but like, see, my mom never let me carry a butcher knife when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I think I had to level up until the age of 7, until I could carry a scissor.
Okay.
So it's not just guns here in Europe. It's just like quote unquote dangerous objects. You
But
know,
why,
you're not allowed
why
to gas
shouldn't
stove
you give a sharp object to a child?
because it get injured. Like, okay,
Yeah.
because when I was a kid,
In which
I was
case,
dumb, I
the
cut
child
myself.
will learn a valuable lesson. Sharp items are sharp.
Okay, but like guns, you know, like a cut with the knife heals, but the gunshot heals a little bit more difficultly, depending
Oh.
on where it is and how deep it went.
Don't give them a bullet until they've learned to not stare down the barrel, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that would be an interesting thing to just give the unloaded gun, but then what if it becomes too friendly with the gun and doesn't respect it anymore?
Then you
You need
hit
to
it.
have respect for the weapon. You hit
No,
the
no, no.
child.
Yes, absolutely. Like, this is what my dad did to me. Dad sets up a trap. He gives you the gun, and then he waits for you to do something stupid and childlike with it, like pointing at someone, and then he just, bam. Don't point weapon at people. You replace the fear of the gun with the fear of dad. Nice and simple.
I guess that would work, yeah.
Yeah, it does. Hit the child. It
Imagine
hurts.
that there is a laser coming from the gun, and if you point it at someone, it slices them in half. So always keep the gun away from always keep the laser away from people.
Yes. And again, if child cuts himself on knife, child will cry, child will be in pain. But the odds of child managing to harakiri himself, fairly low. Almost non-existent, in fact. But valuable lessons will be learned.
Yeah.
Razorwind VT says, Chumus for the grave 2023. Chumus.
Chums.
Me help.
Do you know what's interesting? It's like when you look at one of these TikTok movies with someone that's being a dumbass at the firing range and doesn't respect the gun, and you see like the fighting instructor, the range master or whatever the fuck, like literally freaking out. It, like for me as a European, it's hilarious. It's like, why are you freaking out like that? And it's just because like she's not pointing the gun at range, or she's holding it improperly, or you know, something like that.
Well, yeah, no, that is exactly the thing, though. If you're going to teach somebody about guns, you need to yell at them. Like, yelling is a key core component of teaching people about guns, because gun dangerous. Therefore, you must ingrain into them that if you do something wrong, you get yelled at or slapped. One of them two.
No, but it's funny to see how the instructor freaks out, you know, and it's like just such a tiny thing. Like she didn't hold it in the proper way, or she didn't assume the proper safety, and like
She's acting like she murdered people.
That is important.
There is a TikTok video where she literally fires at the ceiling. And you have like this gorilla of a man that can hospitalize you with one punch. Like literally going next to her. And he is like, his body language is incredibly aggressive.
Owen says, I like this chat on Planting Day. Thank you, Vianart. Well, thank you, sir. I'm glad we can be of help on Planting Day. Malifkus Shaikan says, V, The Sims is free because of the DLC. Yes, that seems to be the reasonable assumption.
So
Like,
what
why
we
is
have
this
to
free?
assume is that if a game has $700 of DLC, it becomes free.
Yes.
Why is chat saying that I shouldn't get a gun, Arch?
Because you'd probably kill yourself with it.
But like, I know gun safety, Arch.
I don't know about that. It wasn't
Okay,
too long
so-
ago since we had to teach you what a magazine was.
But that doesn't have to do anything with gun safety.
I do believe it has something to do with gun safety, yes.
No, I will tell you what the gun safety is, okay? Never point the gun at another person even if it's unloaded. Always treat the gun as if it's loaded. Never put your finger on the trigger unless you're willing to fire. Always have the safety on unless you want to fire.
How do you know that the gun isn't loaded, V?
Well, but that doesn't have to do with gun safety. Like when you buy the gun, they tell you.
Yeah, but at some point you need to figure out if the gun is loaded or not.
Yeah, okay, but like I never saw, let alone touch a gun in my
Yes,
life.
it's
Like
the
if I were to
question.
purchase a weapon,
Fire
I would
is the
ask like,
answer.
okay, how do you load this thing? Like it's not.
Yes, but how do you know that a gun is unloaded, V?
You check. I mean,
How do
literally,
you check, V?
Depends on the gun, Arch.
How do you check, V?
Okay, a revolver. You move the spinny thing and you look to see if it has any bullets in it.
Okay. And in a pistol?
The pistol, you take away the. You pull it back. You pull the thing back, right? And so you see if there's one in the chamber, and then you take the clip away and you look to see if there's any bullets in the clip.
Okay, so you rack the pistol, then you remove the magazine, and now the weapon is unloaded.
Yes.
No, V, you just racked a live round in the fucking gun!
I told you I never seen a pistol, which means that if I were to buy
See,
one,
this is why
I would
Chat
ask
says you
how it
shouldn't have a
works.
gun. V, racks
but like,
gun,
no,
takes out magazine,
Yeah,
stares down barrel.
Okay, but let's go back to what I said, right? So I would always assume it's loaded. So even if there was a bullet on the chamber, I would still be fucking safe because I wouldn't point it at another person. Because I would assume it's loaded even if I think it's not.
That was beautiful, though.
Why is it that in movies when they check for a gun, like they pull it back and they look into it? Like what is that?
It's because the gun is never racked for some reason, so they rack it to load a bullet into the chamber.
So you're saying that Hollywood lied to me?
It's also because they think it looks cool.
It does look cool. I like it. But like you're saying that this is not how it's done. So like Hollywood is a lie.
Yes, Hollywood is a liar.
Okay. So this is what Alec Baldwin did, basically.
Yes. Well, we don't even know what he did. Because he was using a revolver, I think.
Do you think that Agent 47 came on set?
Zionis says, why is V a shiki? Why is V a god of death? It's because he racks the gun before taking out the magazine.
No, it's not. It's not a god of death. It's a famous artist that draws succubi, and I were actually negotiating to hire him. But this one isn't drawn by Shiki. Yeah.
Mr. Luckless says $700 could buy you a small 40k army. Might even be more productive if you somehow manage to assemble and paint all of it. That's true as well. Saul the Lich has been a member for 5 months. Thank you very much for your continued support, sir. And you better stay, otherwise I'll send V to your house with gun instructions. You will not survive.
People say that I will kill myself before I reach the man's house.
He says, question for war enthusiast V. Are you interviewing the ketchup foxwoman here with Barch or at your YouTube channel?
I think they're talking about Kirsche. Like I invited her on the ArchCast, but she said that she's got a donathon, and she has to prepare for that. And after the donathon, she can come here.
All right. Mercenary X21 says they found the Sodom and Gomorrah ruins a few years ago. Did they look like they'd been blown out from orbit? Because that would have been
How would
funny.
you fucking tell? Because like the Bible doesn't give the coordinates. They do not give the GPS coordinates for Sodom and Gomorrah.
Because it'd be funny if we found the ruins and they had like craters in it that must have come from space. Because then we might all just look up and go, like, oh shit.
But, yeah, but like even if you find something like that, it's not like it has a sign "Welcome to Gomorrah."
I don't know. It could. Like, you could have like a archway above the city goes like, Sodom and Gomorrah, welcome.
I don't think ancient towns had that arch. I don't think like people worked like that back then.
I think they might. Cat on Crack says, I start to believe they waved the rainbow flag to signal to God, nah, you said you wouldn't do it again. We can do this now.
Honestly.
Maybe.
Unironically.
It seems at least somewhat reasonable to assume as
This
such.
is the lore that I like to go. Apparently I can have revolvers, because I would actually know if they're loaded or not.
Well, I'll see about that.
Okay, a shotgun, right? You pump it, and it pulls out the shell. And that's how you know it's unloaded.
Okay, so you pump it.
You pump it, yes.
Yeah, you pump it. You load it, then you pump it, and then it's not loaded anymore.
No. When you pump it, it goes into the chamber.
Mm-hmm.
Heresy.
So you've just
Yeah,
loaded
so
the
you
weapon.
don't-
Fire is the answer.
Yes, but then you can like open a little hatch and you can pull the shell out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Alternatively, you could just keep pumping it until no more shells come out.
Also, like if you keep pumping it, like the shells just.
I have lost.
Oh.
Shit.
Okay. Right. So you just pump, and shells just go bloop, 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 and at one point it just go like, and nothing happens.
At
And
some
that's how
point
it's
it'll
unloaded.
stop.
But what if it jammed?
Well, then you'll have to pick it out manually.
No, but like, how do you know it's unloaded if you keep pumping it, but it's actually jammed and it does have one?
Because instead of chick, it would say crunch, crunch, crunch.
Oh, so it makes a different sound. I see.
The Sugar Daddy says, crime has gotten so bad in California that some people leave their car doors open so thieves don't have to break the windows to steal their stuff.
See, in Sodom and Gomorrah, no one left their car open.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's the historical fact.
it is. Dude, I'm not spreading harmful misinformation on your channel. Everything I say is true.
CNL BMC says, plenty of people outside the cities in California aren't like that. I live in a smallish town in CA that looks more like the 1950s but modern tech. We say, drive the communists into the sea. Good. Remember, domestic terrorism isn't real terrorism. It is YouTube.
I have lost. Shit.
Sandoom says, I think one of the things that make Harrison Ford so great compared to any modern-day actors is his drive. He suffered through dysentery for the first Indiana Jones, which led to the sword versus gun scenes. Yes, where he was supposed to be doing a whole fight, but he just shoots him because he's about to shit himself.
Yes.
That one was funny.
Yes.
Ding Chavez 09 says, I forgot to put youth sport. Ah, okay, yeah, that's more interesting. More youth wish to shoot shotguns at clay pigeons. This is good. Plague Runner says, I went on Baldur's Gate 3 and people are defending bestiality. Of course they are. Why wouldn't they?
No, but I'm fine with the bestiality in Baldur's Gate. Just so you know. Like, I'm not against it. What I don't understand is why the same people that defend it, if they would have seen, like, a scene with a hot, sexy, dark elf waifu, you know, like why would they be against that? Right? Like, that's my question.
Because,
It's like, if they like their shit, yeah, I'm not interested in their shit. Like, go have your stuff if you want, but I don't understand why you're coming for my stuff.
Because my fetish good, your fetish bad.
Yeah. Like, for example, my non-shiki Sakubasu upsets a lot of people on Twitter. And the same people like the Baldur's Gate bear scene. Why?
Mark Shame says, proud to be a member of the F team. Remember, the best ones are the first to die. The worst ones are certain to die. You have to be a specific kind of mediocre to survive. That is true. Everyone survived the F team. They just got beat up a couple of times. And lost a few limbs. I do in fact believe that was the squad with the least amount of natural limbs in that Aliens playthrough.
Is anything as good? Because I see you play it.
Yes, I think so. It was pretty good.
Should I get it?
Yes.
Okay.
Wilson says, for the guy that ripped the unborn child out of a woman, have you heard of a punishment called a bronze bull? Yes, it was wonderfully creative. They would put a dude inside of a hollow bronze bull statue, and then they would light a fire under it so it got nice and warm, and then they had a clever mechanism in the bull's throat that would make it so that when he was screaming, it sounded like the bull was going "Mrrr."
Arch, apparently, it just arrived that Adam's wife. Hold on, let me just. All right, so Adam's 2020 wife just agreed to fuck Boogie. So apparently, Adam's wife posts, "Who should Adam 22 let me fuck me next?" People say Boogie, and Boogie says, "Let's go." And this has got 5.8 million views.
Good for Boogie.
We'll show it to you. I don't know. I mean, it's someone else's wife, Arch. Like, look here. Is this NTR? Like, does this come?
Well, sort of, I guess. You're not showing it to me, V. What's wrong with you?
I posted in the Secret Whispers. But oh, okay, link channel. All right, here we go. Is Adam 22 the guy from Adam and Stitch?
I don't know. Boogie. Let's go.
Boogie. Yeah.
I guess so. Well, good on Boogie.
6 million views.
Yeah. Good on Boogie.
Keemstar is getting involved. This tweet has over 6 million views. Give the people Boogie.
Give the people Boogie. Boogie deserves it after that boxing match with the other fat guy, because the other guy absolutely trunched him, which that was a bit
it wasn't just another fat guy. It
Heresy's
was
the
Wings
Fire
of
is the
Redemption.
answer.
I don't know who that is.
Wings of Redemption is a famous person like Darkside Phil, a gamer, which has a very colorful past. I believe like there's like 12 hours documentaries on him.
I see.
Yeah. He plays Call of Duty, got really upset once over losing at Call of Duty, punched a hole in his house. But you know what? He actually put in the effort. He trained.
Yes.
You can see that. Yeah, you can see that he hit the gym and he did everything he could in order to win the match. So
Yep,
yeah.
and it was a complete rollover too.
It was. I expected Boogie to win because usually body weight does play a difference. I expected it to go more like a sumo match. Do you know that sumo matches initially didn't have fat people? Like the whole, I'm not kidding. The whole purpose of getting a person out of the ring, like initially they were, like sumo wrestlers were very fit, and it was like an MMA sport. You know, it's kind of like that. But they discovered that by gaining fat, it's harder to push them out of the ring. So basically, through natural selection, the more time goes on, we see sumo wrestlers getting more and more fat in order to avoid being pushed out of the ring and having more mass to push the opponent.
Well, there you go, I suppose.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's the history of sumo.
The history of sumo.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure in this rematch, body weight will matter. At least for one of the
Are
two
they
parties.
matching?
Well, no. Boogie
you're talking
fucking
about,
his wife.
I see. Yes.
Yep. I'm sure body weight will play
I
a role in that engagement.
I think it's a different wife, though.
V?
Yes.
I don't know if I care anymore.
I see. No, it was just interesting. Like people showing me that. Yeah, usually it's like, hey, you know what Boogie says about this video game? That's how it used to be. You know, like, oh, what take does Boogie have on World of Warcraft or Diablo 3? And I'm like, oh, let's see. Now it's like, hey, do you know like someone's wife wants to fuck Boogie? I'm like, what the fuck?
Mrs. Twisted Frenzy says, if the judge and jury are ever at risk of capital punishment for getting it wrong, no criminal will ever be sentenced to prison, never mind the gallows. I don't think we should have juries anymore. I don't like the idea of juries. Like, I get it, back in the day, juries were fine, because, like, it was a bunch of people who had no idea who the fuck you were, had no real like, frame of context or anything like that. You were just some rando. And in many cases, that might still be true. But in today's social media world where you can Google the person you're supposed to be jurying, etc., juries are a terrible idea. I don't like the idea of juries. They're far too often politicized, and they far too often know far too much about the person they're judging. We should just go with judges. And judges should have more and more consequences heaped upon them for getting shit wrong, because it is their duty to get it right. And far too often, they abuse that duty. Like in the recent Supreme Court rulings, for example, where one of the dissenting judges never cited the Constitution ever when arguing why affirmative action was good. So basically, she wasn't doing her job. And cases like that should then be smashed down on. You don't want to do your job? Well, you don't get to be a justice anymore.
How would they cite the Constitution for Roe v. Wade, though?
Well, I don't think there was anything in the Constitution for Roe v. Wade, which is why they
Obviously
overturned
not.
it.
But like, how did they cite it?
They probably didn't.
I think they went with like the right of the secrecy between the patient and the doctor, which was abolished during COVID.
Maybe.
But yeah, no, it's a good point. You know, like maybe judges should be forced to cite the Constitution.
There should be an oversight committee of just fucking anal assholes who know the law in and out and can analyze the judgment neutrally.
Yeah, but what's to stop then the committee from being overly politicized?
By making them into fucking AI, that's how. Literally, I wouldn't mind feeding this through a computer program that is just 100% neutral and goes like, did the judge in this case fulfill the requirements of the law? If the computer says no, the judge gets hit with the stick.
But then what's the point in even having judges and not just have the computer program?
Because the judge can interpret the law to some degree, and there are cases in which leaps of logic are necessary, but the difference is you can go like, okay, there's a dude, he's caught with a woman's like bloody clothes, he's 5 feet from the grave holding a bloody knife. But nobody saw him bury the woman. But in this case, it's reasonable to say that he probably did it.
Yes.
However, if you find the bloody shirt in one guy's house, the bloody knife in another guy's house, and the shovel in the third guy's house, then it becomes a bigger deal. It's like, okay, then you look into motivation. Like, the dude with the shovel didn't even know the bitch.
No, you probably would conclude that all three did it, and they cooperated.
I don't know. Because again, like, that was where motivation comes into play. Because judges do need to interpret parts of a case. The problem is that they interpret far too much of a case. Wilson says, the only loads V is used to are the ones his succubi take nightly. Oh. Well, at least his succubi take them. I was afraid you'd say that V was taking them now. That would be scary. We already have Dev's girlfriend saying that she pegs him. I wouldn't want to hear the same from V's wife. That'd be disturbing.
No. My wife is a very conservative one.
Heresy's the question. Fire is the
HK
answer.
Ninefold 10 says, the fact that Germany commissioned a different Luger variant because police officers kept unaliving themselves during cleaning proves that gun safety requires strict training. Yes, it does.
You think the police would get strict training?
I don't know about that. There was a case in Norway not that long ago where the police were recently trained on gun safety because it takes a long time to hammer that into your head, where they would just discharge their weapons in the locker rooms. Like, that's why in America, for example, where they have experience with this, they have those funny containers on the wall, where you go over by them and you fire your weapon into the container. So that in case you fucked up, you shoot it into a steel container instead of sending the bullet flying around the locker room.
I wonder if there's any laughs and jiggles when someone actually fires around in the container.
I'm sure there's a moment of panic and then much laughing, and then that person will be shamed for eternity.
I think you described it very accurately.
Artemis Fowl says, Bible literally tells you where the seat of power of the Antichrist is located. The location at CERN. Wow.
Yeah, but like, when you have like, okay, fine. When you have like a geographical river, right? No, when you have like a natural geographical pinpoint, a river, a mountain, okay. But Sodom and Gomorrah have none of that, so like you can't actually pinpoint where they are.
Yeah.
Like that. The other things like, oh, we found Noah's Ark. Like, fuck off. How massive would that shit need to be? And didn't it get all the way the fuck to the stratosphere because it's like tallest than all tallest mountains, so it like should be tallest than the Himalaya?
I don't know, but I'm presuming they found it. And it might also have been the tallest mountain in there that they knew of. You gotta bear that in
No,
mind,
I'm pretty sure like they're mentioning it's like the tallest on Earth.
But
But even then, like because like you gotta kill everything, right? Like that was the plan. Like you flood everything. So like if you're like even mountainside, it's already like the air quality is going to be very difficult to breathe.
Yeah, but you're also being lifted on a wave caused by God, so he might just magic that shit.
But at that point, why not just pass you through the dimension? You know, like skip you forward in time.
Well, then you wouldn't learn the lesson. Like you said, public executions only have effect if you see
that's
it.
a good point. Yeah. No, that's
Yeah,
you
so
know,
God
I
was like,
actually
"Watch me drown all these bitches, Noah."
You know, I do believe that you are making a like as an atheist, you are making compelling points for the Bible. I like that.
Yeah, don't you forget about this, Noah. Now go have sex with your children. We need to repopulate the earth.
It's literally like watch me, Noah, right? Like he could have made like put Noah in a magical sleep where he doesn't drown.
I have
You know,
lost.
pull Noah all the way in heaven for a little bit and then put him back on earth or some shit like that.
But he
no,
didn't
he was
do
like,
that.
watch this. No, he's like, watch this, watch it. Look.
Like, look, Noah, that one's trying to claw its way onto your boat. Look, its fingernails is breaking.
That is a good question. Like, what would happen, like, in the first days of the flood? Like, wouldn't people just literally try to get on the boat? Like, it would have, like, hordes of zombies just trying to get in?
I mean, I'm sure for the first few days there wouldn't be that much panic, it'd just be raining, but, you know, after a week
Yeah.
or so, when the flooding really starts kicking in, people are probably going to look at the weirdo on the hill who built an ark and going to think, what if I go over there? At which point Noah's just like, nope, closes the door and then laughs at them.
I have lost.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably, like, death by this type of thing, like slow drowning. Like, most people would be like, well, at one point it has to stop, right? And most people would probably not be on the road trying to claw in. Like, that actually makes sense. Because, like, if you think about it, if there's a flood, right, it's raining, and, you know, like, at one point you go on top of your house, and you're just, like, thinking,
Yeah.
well, it has to stop at some point. It's not going to keep going.
Yeah, but if from the top of your house you see the crazy person who built a boat, like, wouldn't it make sense to go over to the crazy person who built a boat?
I guess, like, how far away is it and how, like, nasty the winds are?
I mean, other people maybe have boats too. Like, nobody else built a boat, apparently.
No, because he was in the fucking of nowhere, right? Like, he wasn't next to the sea, so no one had boats.
But then he might have sailed past, though. You think he did that? Just sailed past them, watched people drown?
I mean, yeah, like,
"Hello,
the
neighbor."
thing that doesn't work,
Yes, I
yeah,
should
like,
you
the
build a
thing that
boat?
does... No, you got a point. Like, the thing that doesn't work in the story is that from the geographical position, it makes sense, right? He's the only one landing with a boat. But, like, what about cultures that had a lot of boats? Like the Greeks, or, you know, like, they would also have boats.
Well, there weren't any Greeks at the time. They were just, like, assholes.
I think, like, okay, so I can actually solve the mystery. Like, he's the only one that had enough food on the boat. But
Well,
actually,
yeah.
no, you can survive without food for, like, 40 days, I guess.
Yeah, and that would need to be a big boat. Like, 2 of every animal. Like, an elephant alone devours, like, what, how many hundreds of kilograms a day? Like, fuck the load
Well, it
capacity
doesn't have
on
to
this
eat
thing.
it. Well, I guess, like, maybe they don't have to eat every day, right? So you can have, like, malnourished animals when you get off.
I guess, but then they need to fuck, like, aggressively. And a lot.
No, not immediately. Like, they can eat a little bit, regain their strength, and then fuck.
Yeah,
but,
but
like,
eat
what are
what?
they eating? I think
Like, do you think
Fish,
the
I
plants
guess.
and the trees are fine? Like, it's
probably
been,
not, but you have...
it's been underwater
I-
for
I-
a week.
I think you have fish on ground, right?
Yeah, but what is the elephant gonna do then? Oh, fish, sushi, nom. Do fish eat fish?
Well, I think, like, the plants even dead are still comestible, right?
Ah,
I mean, and I don't know if all the plants would die immediately. Like, the trees would still be alive, and they would
I
just
have
rot,
no,
I
no.
guess.
I don't think so. Because again, bear in mind, you need enough water to flood the highest mountaintop, which means that the water pressure at the
yeah.
like it would smush the trees. Like there would be nothing left. They would be ocean gated.
You'd probably kill the fish as well, because, like, fish actually care about the quality of the water. So, like, saltwater fish and sweetwater fish don't mix well.
Yeah, you'd mix it up and you'd kill all the fish too.
Yeah.
Damn. I don't know. This whole
well,
flood
you know,
thing
like-
might be unreasonable.
Yeah, I mean, like, you could just have god magic, you know? Like, but no. He wanted to do it in a way that it makes sense. But it made sense for the people at the time, but not for us.
It might be that God was retarded as well, and he did this, and then he like looked down on the ocean with his god powers, and like, wow, all the trees are smushed. Fish are dying too. Fuck. Okay, let's just magic this shit, and we won't tell Noah.
You're right though. Like the tallest mountain is the same size of Ocean Gate, Death, I guess, where it imploded. So
Yeah.
like there would be so much water on top. I don't even know if you have like enough water to make it that tall in 30 days, or like how much what was the time that God used?
Oh, I mean, he could just rain really hard, I guess. He is God. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
presuming he has a workaround.
Hmm.
He could just make water appear. Like he doesn't need to do that. I think the rain was more for cinematic effect than real necessity.
Yeah, because I remember Thunderful like complaining about this, and I never understood it. Even as an atheist at the time, I was like, dude, it's God. Like, oh, well, the water was in the space. No, like you can just magically create water.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's God, for
he-
fuck's sake.
yeah, like theoretically, he made it to begin with, so like
Yeah.
he could just make more.
Yeah, and once he did end up killing all the fish and all of the plant life and shit, well, he can just magic that back again, because he's God. See, we have explained why Noah's Ark actually makes a bit of sense. Mr. Luckless says, just as Thomas, Clarence wrote the shortest bit on his vote, and repeatedly
I have
called
lost.
Miss Jackson an idiot for her extremely stupid and long-winded take. Good. Based, in fact.
Isn't this the most diverse Supreme Court in the history of America?
I believe so.
So why does the left hate diversity, Arch?
Because they vote the wrong way.
I know the answer, but give me wrong reasons only.
Outraged Dia says, what would you think of a Predator or Engineer DLC to Alien's Dark Ascent, or a DLC where you play as the Xenomorphs? Play as the Xenomorphs would probably be difficult to pull off. You could, probably. I wouldn't mind more stuff to it. They could add more
I
shit.
think I don't think like a Predator would work well. Like you can have Star Trek DLC. That would be cool. Like you got Picard beaming down on the planet.
Service guarantees citizenship.
Glowy
How do you
says,
think that would go?
worst death I
Like the
ever
Fed-
saw was a dog's death. In a Southeast Asian town, they cooked a dog in a little bit of oil in a big wok. You could hear the skin crisp up and crack. 15 minutes horror. They do it because it's supposed to enhance flavor.
Yeah, they actually have this thing where they serve a live fish that like the head is alive. You can see the fish still screaming in agony,
Yes.
while the rest of it is cooked.
Yes. Yes, I've seen that.
Yes.
Which I don't.
And
By the way,
apparently
I'm pretty sure it doesn't enhance flavor because generally speaking, flooding a creature's body with stress hormones is not actually very tasty.
I genuinely like do not know where the myth comes from, but I heard that hunters also do this. Like they would chase the deer a lot because it moves, like it creates the movement required to tenderize the meat.
I doubt it.
So it may be true because like different cultures have the same shit.
I think it's just because people are fucking sadists and they jerk off to it.
Like if you slaughter the pig, it's actually recommended that you chase it around the yard a little bit. I'm not kidding. I'm telling you like how they do it in Romania.
Yeah, but still, chasing it. Like, you're releasing ass loads of stress hormones into its body. Like, it's gonna be freaking out.
Yeah, but I don't know if that actually changes the taste or not. Because like the hormones
sure
have
it does.
receptors, they don't go everywhere.
Yeah, I'm pretty
I-
sure that
I-
makes it worse.
I mean, I don't know. Like we need to experiment. We need to like get a pig that has been chased and eat it, and then we need to eat a pig that hasn't been chased, and we can.
I think that might be a crime, but
But what like? What the fuck are your hamburgers made out of, Arch?
yeah, but that animal abuse. My hamburgers aren't made of abused animals.
So you know, like this is actually something interesting that I don't understand. The method of execution when it comes to the animal. So like, if you hold it in a pen its entire life and it can't move at all, but then you like humanely kill it, that is progressive. But if you actually have it on a farm where it has like free range and it moves around all of its life, but then
I
it's
have
killed with a
lost.
knife to the throat, that is animal abuse.
If you abuse it first, yes. And I don't
Like
think
chasing
veal
it
is
around
even. I don't think veal is even legal anymore.
What, veal? It's illegal in Romania.
Is it legal in Romania? You filthy, disgusting, inhumane country.
Dude, my grandfather ate veal. If my grandfather did something, then it's probably good. This is how I judge life. Did my grandfather do it? Yeah, okay, it's probably good.
Have you? Oh god, here it is. Oh Jesus, yes. Oh fuck Christ. Oh, okay. You want to
What?
see something actually like genuinely inhumane though? Something that that is actually humane, but that is just the worst the most ridiculous thing.
Why do you ask that question? It's like you know that I would say no, but now I'm tempted because
Yeah,
the
now
way
you have to.
presented it.
So in the
Now I
link
have
channel,
to, yes.
right there.
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah. I know that. They
Yeah,
do
yeah.
That, yes.
So
Yeah.
they kill all the male chickens because they don't want the
Yes.
male chickens, they don't want the females one. And it's this big thing, and it's very slippery and very slidey. So the chicken has no hope of getting out there, right? And they just toss it down there. And at the bottom of that hole is a blade that spins at like 10,000 RPM, and it obliterates the chicken. Like,
But how would you do it?
well, no, it is the most humane thing. That's the thing. It is humane because the chicken dies so fucking fast, its body doesn't have time to realize what the hell is happening to it. But it looks so cruel. It looks so unfathomably cruel. You are thrown into this death trap. You cannot get out. It's been designed so that you slip down there, and then your body is just obliterated in a micro instance. Like, holy
I feel
shit.
like a better way to do it would be to put them in a sub and send them to Oceanic Gate death, because like then the implosion like actually doesn't register with the mind. So
Oh, this one does it too. Like, again, the blade is so fast, like your body actually mathematically does not have an opportunity to recognize what is happening. And of course, these are chickens. They have no concept of what's going on. They have no understanding of what the butcher is. They aren't afraid. They have no fucking clue. They don't suffer in any way, but Jesus, it is so fucking evil.
I don't know. Like it has to be done some way, and as you pointed out, this is the most humane way, and I'm fine with this.
Yeah, I suppose.
Then if I were to get executed, this is the way I want to go.
Wow.
1,000 rotation per second, yeah?
Yep. 10,000 RPM per
How fast
second.
is that shit? Jesus.
It is
10,000.
ridiculously fast.
Like you don't even see it. It's not like you see air, I guess,
Yes.
if you look into it.
It is just the worst. It is just the worst, and the people who
No,
are
I don't-
sitting
I
there
don't
should be
think it's
ashamed
the
of
worst.
themselves.
I don't think it's the worst. I'm sorry. Like there are far worse ways. I can the way you just described the dog being boiled is far worse.
Yeah, but that's Chinese. Like, that's not done by, normal people.
Mm.
Chinese eat everything.
Yeah, but that's because of the Great Leap Forward.
God, think of all of the... There are other ways too where they just drown them. Like, this is the most humane way of killing baby chickens. Others, they drown them or suffocate them and shit. Like, just, oh.
Heresy is the question. Fire is the answer.
They're chickens. All of them fucking die. Like that's why we cultivate them.
Yeah, but still, it's just awful, awful, awful.
I am willing to bet that if I erase this knowledge from your brain and I ask you to come up with a different way, it's going to be more sadistic than what we have.
Probably. But I might
Because I know what your brain is capable of. I play Dungeons and Dragons with you.
Mr. Twisted Frenzy says, random question, but did the Dark Eldar ever try capturing and enslaving orcs or Tyranids in lore? I'm rather curious to see the results of them trying. Yes, I believe there is a specific mention of Tyranids used in Bloodsport arenas. I don't know about orcs, but I'm sure they did. Like, why wouldn't they? They probably would
But wouldn't the
turn out to
Tyranids
be shitty
replicate?
servants, though.
Like, wouldn't the Tyranids replicate?
Nah, unlike movie scientists, which always fuck up containing their monsters, the Dark Eldar are smart.
Why would the Tyranids fight with each other? Don't they take orders from the Overmind?
Not when they're out of synapse range.
Ah, so basically, like, they just become feral.
Yes, and they also like to pit them against other people to see them being torn apart by Tyranids. Wilson says, Arch, please explain who the rat waifu is on your title card. Mascot, your R3063 for Sona, your girlfriend Sona, your Tupla. Tupla? I don't even know what that... Tupla. V. What's a Tupla?
I have no idea.
God damn it. Now I have to Google it. Tupla is a Finnish chocolate bar. Okay, well there you go. No, it's because I like Skaven from Warhammer Fantasy. And so, rat waifu, Skaven waifu, Skaven best race, that's why. Sandoom says, in Kentucky we rebuilt a replica of the Ark. Reasons? Well, because it's Kentucky, I guess. Sujad says, mixing salt water and fresh water, salting the earth. That's another thing. It would make everything inhabitable. Again, God will just magic it. Armis Fowl says God promised to never kill man with a worldwide flood again, after he realized how much of a beach it was to clean up and fix everything afterwards. Yeah, that's what I think too. He never promised that he wouldn't wipe us out with fire, though. Or smog, or poison, or the million of other ways I imagine an omnipotent entity could wipe us off the face of the earth with. And Revius says, no, you would hate if they made a movie against robotics industry. They hate the movie for the same reason. The robotic industry is nice, though. McCall11 says, I'm grilling chicken right now. It's delicious. Well, couldn't you eat the male chicken too instead of killing it? You filth. I don't know why they have to kill the male chicken.
Because they're very aggressive towards each other, Arch.
Oh.
They're very territorial.
Well,
yeah.
If we continue to genocide them, won't we be able to breed that out at some point?
No, because like you keep some, but like there is, I think, for turkeys they do this. Like in order to prevent pecking, they have glasses for the chickens. Now the glasses go with wires into their fucking nostrils, and they stay there for their entire lives.
Well, that's great.
Yes, and the glasses make it so that they can't see, so that they can't see to peck the other chickens. There you go.
Romania's an awful country.
No. This is European standard art.
I don't know about that.
No, it is. You cannot have. They are territorial and aggressive, Art. You cannot have more birds in a closed space. They start picking at each other, which cuts into the profits.
With sufficient genocide, we can
Heresy's
breed
the
this out of
question.
them.
Fire is the answer.
Chloe
it's a
says
problem with living space, not the whatever.
There is usually some type of sign or monument or building to signify what an ancient town is. For example, here is the lord of insert city house. Unless they're practically a stick or a mud village, maybe a tent city, are usually the ones you can't tell. CV, we can totally tell where Sodom and Gomorrah is because there's a fucking sign.
That lasted how many thousands of years?
Yeah. Don't go Mauler
I don't
on
think
me
it
now.
works that way. I don't think it works that way.
No, Mauler. Go in your corner. Chloe says, my great uncle, who is a farmer, the best way to get good meat from a pig is to have it run around to get excitement out of it, then let it calm down. Also, if it's male, is to castrate it first because testicles inject certain hormones into the pig as it dies. Alright, so the best way to get good pork is to chop its testicles off, then have it run in a circle for a while, then calm it down. Then kill it.
No, that's actually a good point. So, bulls were actually castrated so that they don't become, or I think like once you castrate them, they become an ox or something like that. But basically, like all male cows were castrated because otherwise they become very aggressive. Except a selected few that were kept for breeding. And the castration in medieval time and even up until recently was done while the animal was still alive. And they did the same for pigs.
Testicles, snip, snip.
Yes.
Sandum says, we need another RimWorld Let's Play with Rat Waifu. I shall consider it. And CNBNmenk says, how would actual Skaven in 40k work? Not Strixis. Probably not very well. Their best bet would be to be on a feudal world so that they could actually, fight the local populace, overwhelm them. And if they actually started winning out, they would probably become kind of human. They would probably be stealing a lot of Imperial tech. They'd be very scavengery. They probably would never be much of a major power for that simple reason, but they could adapt pretty much anyway.
Heresy's the question.
Basically, the Imperium would have to leave them alone, or they would need to be given the same amount of plot armor that the Tau have. And the last one, Chloe says, they usually carve names in stone or clay tablets which can last thousands of years. For example, the Epic of Gilgamesh. There you go, V.
We're going to stop arguing because the more this drags on, the more late you are to battle trauma.
V gets humiliated. First, he loads the gun and then goes, this is an unloaded weapon. And now he's been humiliated on
then I don't
tablets.
point it at anyone because even though I think it's an unloaded weapon, I treat it as if it's loaded. So I'm fine.
I don't know about that. Because at some point you need to load it. And at some point you need to fire it. Anywho, that is all the super chats. Thank you very much for your super generous donations. And I do indeed need to hurry up to take care of my little tiny retarded kid. Otherwise he will probably stop breathing. He managed to twist his ankle or wrist or something today just walking because he's that fat, and somebody must stop him, or he will not live through the day. Much like V should not be allowed to be near firearms for the safety of everyone involved.
Really? Is he fat?
Yes.
I don't believe that. He sounds like a person that's well fit. His avatar is that of a twink.
His avatar currently is that of a furry. Or no, a scaly, actually.
Is it? I thought it was like the cat boy.
No. His current avatar is of him in a snake costume or something, being bored, I think. It's kind of weird.
So he's fine. Like, are we talking like rotund or massive corporeal manifestation fat?
Corporal.
Jesus.
Like, listen, dude,
Okay.
he broke his wrist just by, like, being alive. Like, that's some serious tonnage.
You know, there is a video with this woman, which apparently, due to wind, has the baby stroller going on to the car drive, and she falls down and she's trying to get up, and she
Yes.
literally cannot get up.
I've seen
Like,
that one.
she's like, even if her son's life depends on it, she cannot physically get up. It's like a turtle on her back. Just
I'm sorry,
struggling.
baby. Darwin has decided you will die, but I'm not even unfit, but your mother is.
But yeah, no, luckily a stranger arrives and saves it. But still, like, I
Luckily,
never
yeah.
thought that there are human beings who, if they fall down, cannot get up.
We need to go
Due to
back
their
to the
weight.
time where if a mother was that unfit, a puma would just come and eat the child. Like, it would be better for everyone involved.
Puma.
Yeah. Like, some kind of animal would just swoop down, nab the child out of their arms, and go like, no.
I don't think people used to be this fat in the past because we didn't have this plenty.
It could be a sort of test, you know? If you manage to chase down the puma and retrieve your child, it'll just look at you and like, you have passed the test, young one. And then it'll disappear.
But still, the fact that people are fat means that we live in a time of plenty.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Yes. Yeah.
Until next time, chat. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again next week. Until then, have a good day.